Find your pasta, no clue, far from the land. Tottenham stranded in shadows, no man's land. Lost on the pitch, echoes in the night. Fans screaming loud, no end in sight. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football nest. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football nest. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Where's the Leo who waited in vain? Pains us deeply, every season the same. No direction, stumble and blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Speechless, impressed, they're at the ground. No solutions, nowhere to be found. Fans on the side, hearts turn to stone. Stadium echoes a lonesome drone. Whispers in the air, they speak of change. Up on the horizon feels so strange. Question lost in every wayward pass. And close the future fleeting fast. Where's the Leo who waited in vain? Pains us deeply, every season the same. No direction, stumble and blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply, every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town post-match show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Smash a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the good stuff. If you've got something you'd like to share with us, put it in the comments. If you've got any questions or topics you want us to cover, get your super chats in. It's another loss for Spurs. 2-0 to Crystal Palace at home. They've done the double over. They've done the double over us. Almost made a mess of that. That's 20 league losses this season, which means it's official. Ange Postecoglou is officially the worst manager in Tottenham Hotspur's Premier League era. Spurs have achieved the most losses ever in a Premier League campaign in the entire club's history. And there's still 2 games to go. I know we're focusing on Europa. I know all eggs are in that basket, but we do need to discuss this, and we need to discuss about a few players and also about the protest today. But before we begin, make sure you smash a like, follow and subscribe Brian's channel, Tottenham on Tour. Links down there, everyone. Make sure you follow the boys. Maz, how you doing, bro? You good?
Yep, all good, mate. All good. Really happy that we're in a cup final, you know.
Yeah, do you know? I was on. Do you know what? We'll get into it. Mari, how you doing with your New York Knicks basketball vest? Ready for action?
Yeah, playoffs. First of all, I know you guys celebrate Mother's Day in March, but in the States here, and I think Canada, they today we celebrate Happy Mother's Day. So Happy Mother's Day to anybody that's celebrating it today. Um, give love to your moms. Um, and then for me, I got a couple things to say off my chest, but about the upcoming season. Because apparently we have quit. We are not playing the regular season this season, and I feel sorry for those paying customers. Our last home game, I don't think our fans should show up at all because this is what if we're gonna get this. The team today, integrity wise, I mean, it's that's terrible. If I'm a paying fan who went to the stadium today, I'm absolutely 100% disgusted because what they saw was a cuck show today. But we'll get into it. But it was a cuck show, and if you don't know what a cuck is, then Google it.
It was a cock show, everyone. Mr. Daigle, how you doing, bro? You good?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm just waiting to celebrate that this time in 2 weeks, this shit show of a season is over. Let's have a party. There's no more Sundays of disappointment, Saturdays of disappointment, excuses to be listened to from both our manager and this spineless, gutless, toothless, hypocritical, the irony of this fan base. So can't wait for this summer. No football, just nice transfer rumours to not believe in. Bids that won't go in, and bids that will go in that are way too small, and lots of stuff to look forward to, mate. Lots of stuff. The return of transfer window bingo will be back in 2 weeks, and that's all I'm looking forward to.
By the way, people in the chat saying it's Mother's Day in Brazil. It's Mother's Day in Malaysia. I'm guessing it's Mother's Day everywhere but the UK. Hey, us Brits, man, we do everything different. That's why you love us. Whatever you do, we do the opposite. That's how we roll. Even Tottenham. Everyone wants to win. That's overrated. Overrated. So, but before we talk about today's game and we get onto the tactics and Ange and players like Eze, Glasner, the manager for Palace, the Europa Cup, the remaining league games, I want to sequence the day. So the day began with what was meant to be a Change for Tottenham protest. So if you don't know, there is a protest group that we're part of, that we support, Change for Tottenham. And there was a lot of fans that were unhappy with this protest going ahead. Now, this protest was planned before the Europa Cup games, the semi-finals. And the plan was to protest inside the stadium and then to have a protest outside before the game. After a lot of pressure from a lot of fans, Tottenham agreed to cancel the internal stadium protest. A lot of fans said it should be a day that we are happy and that we're looking forward to a final, and the time was wrong. And okay, so they cancelled that and they went ahead with the protest before the game. It was a very small turnout. From the last two protests that got 2,000 fans each time, this was between 50 to 100. So we're going back to the old leave you out protest that us guys attended when we didn't really get the numbers. So the question isn't, is it right? Is it wrong? The question is, what your because there's no wrong or right, guys. In my opinion, there's no wrong or right. But what are your thoughts on this? Because I'll tell you what I said on We Are Tottenham TV, then we'll go around this way because I know Maz, Brian, you, me, I think we're going to have some different ideas on this. I said that it shouldn't matter when you protest. Either you want change or not. And I referenced protests like the suffragettes when women were fighting for equality. I referenced the Black Lives Matter protests when people were protesting to let the world know that Black lives should also matter, not just other lives, because that's how the group felt. I give reference to a lot of the protests we're seeing on the streets of the world over whatever your thoughts are on the Middle East and other events in the world. You do it because you believe in it, and you do it because you want to get attention. You do it because you've had enough. I don't think a couple of results at Spurs should then determine whether or not we protest. I don't think a couple of wins should mean, right, no protest, but then a couple of losses should mean, well, hold on, stop protesting. Because otherwise we should only protest when we're on a bad run and stop when we're on a good run. Then what do you really stand for? Now, that's just my take on it. I accept there's no wrong or right, but I feel, let me just bring that in, but I just feel that if you're going to protest, you should do it because you really believe in it. I did give the caveat, though, that if Spurs were to win the Europa, I wouldn't protest on that day because I'm not there to protest. I'm there to celebrate a victory. I'm there to celebrate that moment. Today, for me, is not a celebration. There's nothing to celebrate until we win that trophy. If we don't win the trophy, then there's still nothing to celebrate. That's just my take, okay? Let's go around and then we'll discuss it. Everyone have your say on it, then we'll debate it. Maz, what's your take on it? Because a lot of fans did not turn up to that protest today. Oh, by the way, sorry, I forgot to say. I also said that if you protest, you shouldn't care what other people think. And I feel that a lot of people didn't turn up because they're worried what others will think of them by protesting on a day which is supposed to be some kind of pre-celebration or happy moment for the club. They're worried what others might think of them, which is why they didn't go. And I said, if you protest, you should never care what others think. You do it because that's what you stand for. I said that as well. Maz, what is your take on the protest and change for Tottenham today?
I think it was. So I agree with your sentiment on you have to back what you believe and you should protest regardless of the current circumstances of the club. However, in war, you've got to choose your battleground and when you deploy, right? And the examples you gave, you gave it at a too high level. You got to remember all of these protest groups, political and non-political, they have people in the background planning the protests to have maximum effect. And there's times in a place when you need to cause chaos, right? And there's time and a place when you do it for maximum effectiveness. And because of our weak fan base,
Yes,
because the fans have waved the white flag, 99% of them, and that they don't know what they really believe in anymore, and they're accepting this shit. That means that the protest movement that we're a part of and Change for Tottenham need to think very strategically. So now that we have gone into a final, I guarantee you that the people that were on the fence that might have come to yesterday's protest, had we not been in that final, are now thinking, hold on a minute, we're on the cusp here of winning something. Up until that point, I don't want to jeopardize whatever, what the happiness of the camp or put pressure on the club that may cause the team not to perform well. Not that that's going to have any bearing on Ange and the team anyway. But all I'm saying is I think where we differ, Stel, is you have to choose your battleground. You have to be strategic. You have to think, right, if we're going to make this protest successful, what do we need to do that? If you're doing it at a time when you know that attendance is going to be low because we just literally qualified for the cup final, then you change the date. You say, right, the protest is being moved to this date. You're not doing it because you're changing your beliefs or that you shouldn't do it whenever you can. You're doing it so it has the maximum impact to the cause, and that's where I think we differ.
Before I come to Brian, there's a few people in the chat saying, Stel, you comparing protests to other protests. Mate, whether it's a social issue, a hobby issue, protesting is protesting. You're fighting for change. Now, you might want to disagree that I never said whether a Black Lives Matter is more important or less, whether the suffragettes cause is more important or less. I'm not comparing the importance, What I'm saying is, if you protest, it's because you mean it. It's because you care about it. That's the gist of what I was trying to get at.
Just one more
Right.
point. Just I know before you go to Brian, I just want to make this clear.
Yeah.
I'm only saying this because our fans are so weak. That's why I'm saying it. We have the weakest fan base, the most deluded fan base in the whole Premier League, right? We have the most gutless fan base in the whole Premier League. You know my feelings on the fan base. I called it. We might as well rename the club when we clapped when we were 5-1 down Liverpool the first time round, right? That's how I feel about it. Now, for these protests to be successful, you have to be very damn clever as to where and when you do it. So doing it every week, all that's going to happen is the same thing that happened to us when we were 50 people, 100 people, 200 people outside the shop, right? Because we haven't got the body of the fans with us, right? Now, Change for Tottenham have done amazing work. They've got a lot more people involved now. We're turning that corner, but this final has put a spanner in the works. So we need to be clever about it. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
I disagree, but we'll get into the debate itself. I just want everyone to have their say first before we get into the actual the debate itself. Brian, what's your take on this? Because I know you put something on socials today. So where are you at with it?
Socials, you've got it on your community post. Just the irony of this weak fan base that I've said before. People that go and attend these protests. Fantastic, brilliant support that have been there, even when we were doing them. Still, we a lot of time, effort, resources, commitment, dedication, and putting the groundwork in of setting it up, then pushing it out there to get it to everyone, so they know it's coming because people want to say they want to protest. And what we did was small fry compared to obviously what Change for Tottenham have done. Now, what Change for Tottenham have done with these marches and everything, they have to get security clearance, needs to all be crossed over with the old bill and everything for our health. There's loads of stuff that goes into it. When you set up these protests, Change for Tottenham choose their games carefully. Now, obviously, there was the chance when they booked this, we may or may not have been in a final. But Change for Spurs can't just go, and believe me, from organising protests, including the training ground ones with Graham, who's in the chat, and Ryan, you need to prepare for it. You don't just go out of the final on Thursday and go, right, guys, listen, on Sunday we're protest. There's a load of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to get it all ready. We're in a final. The march is going on. I believe, as Ben Coffin was saying, trains were messed up and everything today, but we get to a final, and then the whole of social media, and when I say whole of social media, mainly Twitter, all these fans go out and going, what you're planning to do in the second half is disgusting. From now on, we have to support the team. We have to get behind the lads. We have to show them that we mean business and say thank you for getting to a final. Fine. That's what you want to say? Change for Tottenham, did a space, did a poll, listened to the people that went there, and a majority of people said, yep, from now on, inside the stadium, we need to back the lads. We need to give them everything we've got to roar them on to this final. So they listen. Okay, guys, we've listened to you. What we're going to do is we're going to do the march like normal, and then we're going to stop doing the halftime protest part, like Manchester City did in the first 10 minutes, a whole 10 minutes against the board, not the players. We're going to boycott that because you, the fans, have said so, and we listen to what you say. Whether you believe that's right or not, that's totally up to whatever. If I was stepping foot in that stadium again, that entertainment complex, and Change for Spurs said stay in the concourse for 10 minutes, I'll stay there for 90. If that's what had to be done. Won't change my opinion. But okay, we'll stop the 10 minutes. And then you have the irony of this fan base. Boo the players at halftime. Literally, thousands of people leave the ground before the full-time whistle. But the fans that wanted to protest can't do it for 10 minutes against the ownership and ownership only, because the big fan base want us to back the lads and roar them on to success. The white wall of silence, the stadium flat for a majority of the game, really roaring on the boys and lending support. And then you have a go at people who want to protest against the ownership, not the players. This was all about the ownership. That's not okay and negative and toxic. But the very people that say you've got to stay and support the lads, after a 2-0 shocking performance, decide, no, this is shit. This is shit. This is boring. I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to roar them on to success. I'm going to walk out the ground because it's a dire performance. The irony of this fan base, the hypocrisy of it, is insane. But no one will say anything about that. No one will say anything about the fact people had a massive go at Danny Kiriakou for leaving at half time in the Southampton game. Oh, you're not a real fan. You're not. Oh, yeah. Well, each and every one that walked out that wanted the blue and change for Tottenham not to do anything in the stadium. Hypocrites. Oh, hypocrites. Boo the team. Walk out early. That's all fine. We're going to back the lads. We're going to do it. It's utter nonsense. It's utter nonsense. And it's pathetic. It's pathetic. This fan base just, honestly, they say what they I've said it before. There's so many people that talk the talk. When it comes to walking the walk, and today just showed it again.
Brian, thank you for the assist, because I'm going to get really, and some may get offended, and I don't give a shit. But you look at the DNA of this fan base, and I'm talking about this fan base. I wasn't there in the 80s or early 90s, but the DNA of this fan base is soft. There's another word for it, but I'm not even gonna say that P word. But the DNA of this fan base is soft, completely soft. Evidence Thursday night. Yes, we're celebrating that we're going to the Europa League, but I go to X, guys like Kane from the Lane, the Simon Yimiyans in the world. Oh, we want apologies. Apologies. Apologize for Ange for that shit show I saw today. Right? You want apologies, right? And the reason why I mentioned that, because it relates to the protests, right? These a lot gotta tell the truth. A lot of these people who protest are half-hearted, still half-hearted, right? They're mad because some of them protested because we lost 2, 3, 4 games in a row, and so that's what they want Levy out, and they show up. But as soon as they're in maybe a 1 game or 2 game winning streak, they're fair weather. They go back to their complacent, yeah, everything is all good mode. You see this jersey I'm wearing, right? The Knicks, right? Perfect example where the fans, despite making the playoffs, protested Charles Donan, protested, wear paper bags over their head in the arena so the TV cameras can catch it. Making the playoffs, right, which is a good accomplishment in the playoffs, it's not winning something, right? Did it cover the truth to the point that the owner of the Knicks, Charles Donan, stepped down, meaning that I'm hands off. And now we're respectable and have a legit chance of winning a championship this year. Another example I use is for Napoli, who's about to win their second in 3 years. De Laurentiis conceding the power because the Ultras had enough of him. And he conceded that power. There are many, many more examples. But see, our Ultras, we don't have Ultras, right? Because it's undignified to have ultras. We are wine and cheese at best when we come to outrage because it's improper to protest. But this is proof evidence, right? And I don't care, good time, bad time. If you believe it, you're gonna protest. I know people are gonna look like, well, you could play at Black Lives Matter and suffrage. You're missing the point of what Stell's trying to say. If you believe in something 100%, you're gonna go out. Either it's sunny or it's raining outside, you're going to go out. But the DNA of our fan base is soft, right? And I've said this. Levy has won because the way this fan base thinks and conducts.
Yeah, and that's why,
And,
Amari.
yeah,
But just to
no,
jump
no. Let
in,
me finish. Let me
Nice,
let me
nice. I
land.
want to go to Dan next to speak, then we'll debate it. Otherwise, we're all
Yeah,
going to jump in.
yeah. So this fan base is a joke, and I'm gonna be honest with you. And me and Stel, I've told Stel this, and we can agree. I'm come to the point. That's nice. They do the protest. For me personally, I would do what this fan base did. Oh, there's a Beyonce concert going on. Let's get 1,000 to 2,000 people outside of Beyonce's concert that's in the stadium. I'm big in the Hispanic Latino community. Do you know they landed the biggest Latin artist in all the world in Bad Bunny?
Buddy.
Bad Bunny in June. That place is gonna fill up. You're gonna have people from Spain fly over to see Bad Bunny, and Bad Bunny is the biggest performer today now in the world, right? Wouldn't that be the time to get 1,000 to 2,000 Spurs fans protesting outside the stadium and make that promoter of that concert upset to the point to call Daniel Levy? That's where I'm with the protest, right? For me, I love that you guys protest. For me, the effectiveness, I think it's not, to my opinion, there. I think we if you really want to cause a ruckus, NFL games and concerts like that, that's where you're going to shake Daniel Levy's office. That's where he's gonna be like, oh shit, these motherfuckers are mad. Or what? Like that's gonna get Daniel Levy picking up the phone because these motherfuckers are gonna call him up and be like, "Yo, what's up with your people? What's up with your fan base? Why are they outside protesting?" I will give you a 500 there. Trust me, the promoters go like, our concert goes on walking by and see these people protest. So to end it, it all goes back to the DNA of our fan base. It's easily moved. It's soft. They don't believe in it. And if we do win the Europa League and celebrate it, these same fan base says this guy Ange is owed another season. I know we're gonna go deep into it. And like Dan heard me say earlier on Sava's post game show, is automatically assuming a wasted season because here's the bad news. On the Premier League's schedule next season, we're not playing Bodo Glimt, Akbar, whatever Europa League team that we dominated this year. We're not playing them next season. We're not playing them in the Champions League. And then this buffoon in the press conference saying, "Oh, we're having this rough season because we had to handle the Carabao Cup and Europa League." If we win the Europa League, motherfucker, we're going to be playing Champions League in those same competitions. Meaning, we're fucked. You're basically admitting you can't handle it. But no, the DNA of our fan base, he is owed next season. So next season is a wasted season. It's already done. To know that we're going to be shit the first 15 games and allow someone to come on. So in totality, to answer your question, our fan base is weak as fuck. And that's the truth. And that's relates to a protest. It's weak as fuck. I'm done.
Back to you, Stelios.
That's
Back to you,
that's
Stelios.
Back to you, Stelios.
Back to you, Stelios.
Dan, what is your take on the protest?
Right. I see this from a slightly different angle. I try and look at everything in a tactical manner, whether it's a sport or whatever you're doing. There's tactics to everything, one way or another, whether it's art, whether it's sport, even whatever. Sometimes, whether it's in war, whether you're playing bloody chess, whether you're playing bloody football, tennis, snooker, whatever, sometimes you got to have your tactics. And this is what we say the manager hasn't got. He only knows how to attack. Well, it doesn't even seem that, but he hasn't got a clue how to defend. When it comes to the protest for me, and I agree to an extent on what is being said about the fans, basically, it is because we have such a split, divided, weak fan base. Now, the way I see it happening is the protest should go on no matter what. But that's the word should. I think a lot of people ain't getting how the world works here. And the world will work here, especially with this Tottenham fan base. If a big protest would have gone on today, and then we go and lose that game on the Europa League final, the whole blame would have been chucked, or will be chucked, on the protest. Now, when it comes to what you say about what people think about, I couldn't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me. If you don't like me, fuck off. I honestly don't care. If you do, fair play. I really couldn't care less. I don't care what anybody out there thinks me at a protest or not. I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about the protests in the long run. Now, if you stop the protest today, and then all of a sudden when you do the next one or start them next season, more than half the people don't turn up again, well, to me, they were just plastic anyway. Simple as that. Sometimes you've got to know when to attack, and sometimes you've got to know when to defend. This, for the time, for me, is where it is better to sit back, keep your mouth shut for 5 minutes, because we've always got the rest of next season to protest. Just because you stop something doesn't mean you can't start it up again. My whole point is, anybody who would have been on the fence that we need over on this side, because we are the minority, end off, no ifs or buts. The majority is not Ansari, is Levy in, yeah? We need those people on here. They don't need us. We need them. And everything that Spurs does, a majority of Spurs supporters, from what I see, I can't speak for everyone, I can only see from what I see on YouTube, and I do see a lot on here, there is always got to be an excuse. Whether it's the injury. I've had it at the point that we, as in the toxic negative lot, get the blame for how Ange has played this fucking season. Yeah. Why? Because it's an excuse. It's something to throw it at, because some people just don't want to look at the realism and need an excuse for every little thing in their life because they can't give a solid reason for it. One way or another, you do that protest through and through today, 2,000, 3,000 people turn up. Should it have an effect on the players? No, it's not about the players. It's not about Ange, even though I think some of that protests, some of the people were in there more for Ange than Levy. And no, it shouldn't. And it won't. But the problem is, we go and lose that Europa League game. The majority of the Spurs fan base will throw it at the toxic negative lot, whatever you want to fucking call us, that done the protest, and blame the protest for not backing the players, not getting behind the players, this and that, because they need an excuse. They need something to blame. And then the problem you're going to get with that is, with all the people sitting on a fence, you're going to have a majority, in my opinion, say, yeah, because they want to hear an excuse as well. They don't want to admit that Ange is just a shit manager and we've fucked up the day good and proper. If it goes like that, yeah? Now, if we'd done a protest today and it was a big one, whatever else, and we win that game, there's not a problem.
Like the other two. Like the other two protests they have done.
To win that game. That's anybody's game for the take.
But we won the last two games we protested.
If that goes wrong and those protests would have gone on, I'll bet a heavier load of money on it that the protest would have got the full blame for it, even though it's got absolutely nothing to do with it. But people will blame. People need
Dan.
excuses in their lives because some people just can't handle the facts of the truth that we just ain't good enough. Now, I
Dan,
know it's not about the team and all this and that. And what Brian said, I just can't make that up. It contradicts itself is an understatement. Talk about get behind the players and everything, then you're booing them, even though they were playing double shit and deserve booing and whatever. But people saying get behind the players, this and that, and then walking out the stadium. Brian, that just shows how soft our fan base is.
and
So
that just goes
those
to
ones who would
show.
go and do that, you know for a fact they would turn around and go, it was the protest fault. It was all the protest fault. And then it'd be all over the news and everything that what is believed happened. Were the protests anything to do with it? Did it bring a negative effect on Spurs and everything? Because you know how the press likes making a mountain out of a molehill and that. And I just personally feel it would have had, if we lose the final, it would have had a massive impact on the problem that we've got. And it would have put a massive impact on the protests just because there's so many people out there and too many people on that side against us on like what a 10 to 1, 20 to 1 basis, basically, that would blatantly throw the blame at us, the protesters, whatever. And then when that happens, you've got the people on the fence go over to the other side because they need an excuse and everything else. Whether we like it or not, we need them people on the fence. We need more protesters.
Dan, hold on, right.
I just think this was more of a time to say, okay,
Dan,
Dan, we get it. Right, I get it.
hold arms for a moment.
I get
and
it.
then
I get it. Dan,
wait
Dan,
for the next one.
1 minute. Hold on.
Me, it's all about timing.
Dan, earlier on, when I called Sava in our chat, I said, Sava, you're being a hypocrite. Were you in that chat when I said that?
I think you're lagging. I don't think you can hear us.
I think he is lagging.
Dan?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you now. It's my AirPods.
Okay.
How many fingers have I got? Yeah, there's a lag.
2.
Okay, there's a slight lag. That's why I did it. It wasn't to test your.
I'll jump off and jump back on quick.
All right, I jump off, jump back in. I'm going to take issue with what Dan said because there's a lot there that I would unpack. Maz, you go because I know you wanted to speak earlier when Mario was speaking.
Well,
so you go
see, for me, there's two. I think we're almost arguing not two different things, but cross purposes. So I'm not disagreeing with anything you guys have said. All I'm saying is knowing that we have such a fan base and that everyone is so weak and flip-floppy about when they turn up, when you know the double standards and all the hypocritical stuff and all that sort of stuff. Because of that weakness, that's why I'm saying if I was in charge of the protest and I was the one organising it, I think you just need to choose your battleground because it's not about whether we win or lose at this moment in time. It's about trying to gain momentum for the protest, right? And bringing those people that aren't with us, convincing them to come along, and choosing the battle for this game now with the way that the circumstances have presented themselves because of our weak fan base makes it a big problem. Now, but that doesn't disagree with what you guys have said. In theory, we should be protesting every single game. In theory, we should be going to things outside of the football games and protesting. In theory, there should be sit-ins in the stadium every game. In theory, there should be walkouts. In theory, we can go on forever, right? I agree with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to choose your battleground. And exactly what Mari said, right? And some of what Dan said is true. Right, you need to be clever with who you target to inflict maximum damage, right, and get the club to change, and you also need to do it in a way where you're convincing more and more people to come on your side. If we protested, I do sympathise with Dan's logic here. If we protested today and we got to say 2,000-3,000 people like we did before, right? and then we go and lose, you know that the 99% of the other Tottenham fans will be like, they're the cause. You see, we could have won that, right?
No,
and that's
no.
all it would be. Yeah, 100%.
No,
you know
no,
that.
no, no, no.
How
That's
do
the
you know
cop
that?
out. That's a cop out. It's a cop out.
Well, it's not a cop out for who?
No.
For who?
It's a cop out.
No. Who's the cop out for?
The narrative is a cop out. What you're saying is a cop out. Who cares what they say? Who cares what they say? Who cares what they say? No, because this for me is a cop out. Earlier on,
so then why do we care whether there's 100 people or 3,000 people?
Because the more you have, the larger impact you have.
Right. So that goes directly against what you just said. You do.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. Let me
explain it.
explain it. Right.
Yeah, go on.
Earlier on, in a group chat, I said Sava was being hypocritical with his views on the protest. Right. I agree with Sava on a lot when it comes to players, tactics, the manager. There's a lot of things he and I agree on, but the protest, he and I were two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Me too. Yeah.
Now, Dan, you come on the show, right? And again, it's not an attack on you. I'm attacking your argument.
Mm-hmm.
You say that if what you did was it was a contradiction from start to finish. You say things like if we protest, we'll get the blame. You've got to be strategic. Right? Now, are you Ange out?
Well, I don't particularly want him here.
So you're Ange out.
Yes.
Ange out. All right. Okay. Right.
You know that. Come on.
Right. So Ange lost today, and then you go live on everyone's channel, and you slam him, you bash him, and whatnot. Well, hold on a minute. That means you're going to get blamed. It's your fault because all you do is turn on Ange. You're the problem, but yet you still did it. So you're happy to still.
I'll answer that one
minute. You're still happy to smash Ange left, right, and centre, but you don't give a shit if you get the blame. But yet, when it comes to the protest, we've got to be strategic because we'll get the blame.
Okay, let me put this a different way to you.
When you want
let
to,
me explain it different.
Okay, go for it. I'm going by what you said.
No, fine. That's fine by me. You know, I ain't got the best way of putting things. But again, I couldn't.
Go on.
Yeah, I really couldn't care less. And with that, I'll slam him all day long, even when he wins the cup. If he wins the cup, because he is a shit manager and he has given us a diabolical season. I'm just looking at the protests further ahead, not the next one. I'm looking at the next 3 or 4. And with that, I just feel that if they would have turned on the protest, not me, they could slam me as much as I want. What difference do I make?
They've turned on the Ange lot. They've turned on us.
What do I care whether they turn on me or not, or what they say about me or not? What do I care? The protests are bigger than me. The protests are because we want this prick Levy out this club, yeah? And at times, you have to use tactics. And you blatantly know it still, and don't even try it and fucking say no, yeah? That if this cup goes wrong, this whole protest would have got the whole blame for it. Now, again, we can sit there and say, well, blame me all you want. I don't care.
No, they can't blame the
thinking about me.
Some will.
Of course they can. Of course they will.
Some can, but they won't blame us. What?
You know,
2,000 fans that protested before a Crystal Palace game is the reason they couldn't turn up 11 days later in the European Cup final. They're playing Aston Villa.
Telling me that a majority of the fans wouldn't do it? Be realistic.
I am being realistic. I disagree with the opinion. I think it's a contradiction.
So you don't think a majority of Spurs fans would have turned round, seeing as the majority are on the other side, and just looked for the excuse that Spurs supporters always do look for, and just put the full blame on that? And then that's going to divert some people away from it and split it up even more.
No, if we're 2-0 up in the cup final, in the cup final, and then we lose 3-2 because Man United make a comeback and Ange doesn't change the tactics like we've seen before, they ain't blaming that on protesters. They're going to look at those players and that manager and say, "What the fuck did you not just do? You had a 2-0 lead." That's what this is.
I just want to add one thing to this, and what I think this is what everyone is forgetting. Forget whether the protest should have gone ahead. Forget the amounts of people that were there. Forget all of that. You cannot have it that thousands of fans said, do not do the halftime thing. I'm only talking the halftime thing. Do not do it because we have to support the team. and this could have negative impact on the team. Don't do this at half time. It would be wrong. So change for Tottenham, listen to the fans, and said, which was for the part, because people like me, Still, and others, there's no changing. We're at the top. We're not changing. Thousands of fans said this would be wrong. Everything has to be about backing the team. Forget everything. It has to be. We have to give it all we've got.
Those fans are idiots.
This is what they were said. This was what was taught. Everything has to be towards the team. Support it.
Support it, because we control what's
half time, and then you have to stay. You have to back the team. We have to give them all we've got. Oh, we're losing 2-0 and playing like shit. Oh, fuck this. I'm off.
Yeah, but
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Brian, those people.
This is what I'm getting mad about. How can it be?
I'm with you.
If we had done it as a Levy out thing about the board, not the players, not the manager, about the frustration of this board. Oh no, that's going to go down to the players. That will have a massive impact on the players. The players won't be able to handle it, even though they get paid hundreds of thousands of pounds and have this shit called out.
It wouldn't, Brian, but we would still get the whole blame.
Who give these people the power?
But you're happy to get the blame for being Angel and causing a rift.
These are the very people, fans.
You cannot have
the reason why they enable Daniel Levy to do what they do. Who gives these people the power?
Murray, 1 minute. Let Brian finish.
You can't have it both ways, where everyone is saying, "Don't do this. You got to back the team," but then when the team are doing really bad, and they need you to back the team, they need your support. You go, oh fuck this, I'm off. And the ones that stay, I'm gonna boo the team for a bad performance. So if people want to say the protesters are the reason, like Dan was saying, oh, it's the protesters that lost us the cup because of what they're doing, they're negative. Well, shame on you. What about the thousands that left early? What about listen, I'm not even talking about Levy out. I'm talking about fans that say don't do anything negative because it will affect the team. And
then they go and do it themselves.
And then they go and do.
I'll make you right.
That's the whole thing.
So we might as well have protested then. We might as well have protested.
No. The point that I was trying to make, right, was that we know the hypocrisy of the fan base. We know how shit they are, right? We know this, right? Therefore, because we know it, to avoid what happened today when just 50 people turned up, and now it's become a shit show because only 50 people have turned up. So not even the guys that were turning up before even turned up. You have to play it smart. You can't just brute force it on ideology and say, oh, it doesn't matter. This is what I believe. I'm just going to call so because the fan base never does that. Right. And you can't just say, yeah, we should do that on ideological grounds and just have 100 people, because that hasn't worked for the last 2, 3, 4, 6 years. Right. Definitely. We need to bring people on board. Right. Yeah. Therefore, we have to use our brains. Right. And think we know that the circumstances isn't going to allow for people to turn up. Let's change the tactic and be clever. We've got to box clever. Right. Yeah. Otherwise, we're never going to win the war.
Sometimes it's not always about winning the fight. I think the saying goes, it's about winning the war at the end of the day. You can lose a couple of rounds in boxing and then still knock the prick out in the fifth or sixth round. For me, I totally agree with what you're saying, Brian. But what you're basically saying for me has just made me and Maz right.
What?
Why?
No, Maz, but let
me finish with Brian. Because that just showed that they didn't want the protest, they didn't want that, and you've got to back the team and everything else. And then all of a sudden, they walk out the bloody stadium. To me, that shows how two-tier this fan base is. To me, that shows how plastic most of them are, or that really don't care about the other side. This is where you got to use tactics. So they walked out, even though they wanted this, this, and this. And I guarantee you, those pricks that done that would be along the main people that turn around and say the protest was the problem. Now the protest gets even more negative input on it, which it doesn't need. We need people on our sides. So
I
I'm
mean,
agreeing with what you're
Dan,
saying.
I agree.
Hey,
Let me interject before I lose this point. I get what Dan and Maz are saying, but I also get what Brian and Estelle saying. These people, and I've been in a mole in some of these chats, right? A mole. I'm not gonna say the names because I'm still like these people. When they get the chance, are always at opposition. They believe what they believe. These people that says no, 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 it's not right to do this. These people have always thought that way. Always is the very reason why we're here. No, we must be unified as a group and back this team and this players like we have any correlation to what is going to be put out. What would their excuse be if we don't win the Europa League a league final? They will still find an excuse. No, it's not the best of times to go with. Like I said, I get what you guys saying, right? It's kind of wrong to protest at a funeral. It's wrong to protest on the day you have
No, I'm
the
not saying
championship.
that.
Bullet.
This
It
is,
wouldn't
this
have
is,
been
I
this
get
is my
that.
problem with
I-
what
I-
we're
I-
discussing.
I
Guys,
get
let
the-
Murray
No,
finish.
I get
Murray,
the-
Let Murray
hold on.
finish, guys.
hold
Let
on.
Murray finish. 1 minute. Let him
Yeah, I
finish.
know, but I need
I-
to correct that point because otherwise it's going to go in like I'm not saying that we shouldn't have protested. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying knowing that no one's going to turn up, right? Knowing that and knowing that there's going to be repercussions for that, I just think it should have been done on a different date and time. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we should. If I had it my way, we should be protesting every week, right? Not only
agree.
on the Saturday or Sunday, but on the Thursday and on the bloody concerts as well, right?
Maz,
Yep.
Maz,
agree.
I actually agree with you. I honestly think for me, it's a little different. I want us to protest on the non-Spurs events. Really, that's when I want us to protest. I'm just saying that those people, I'm just talking those people who are saying this, they somehow have that power to tell change for Spurs. Those people, when it comes down to it, you're never going to please them. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you're
I
never
see
going to
both
please
sides.
everybody,
I'm
Murray.
just saying that those people, right? Be careful. If we're gonna look, if Chich for Tottenham is always going to appease, yeah, you're right. We're gonna go with your advice. Yeah, you're right. We're going to your advice.
It's
Yeah,
not
you're
going to
right.
do
We're going to
that.
go with your advice. Because those
No.
people are always going to find a reason. Those people are not fully leaving out. Those people will always find a reason. That's all
But
I'm saying.
Murray,
That's
mate,
all I'm saying.
yeah, but we are not, the problem is we have a European Cup final coming up. And with that, you've already now got a load of Ange people saying, well, look what he's done. He could be our most successful manager ever. Right.
I
You've
agree
now
with
got a
you.
load of people
But yet you
sitting
still
in the
bash
fence.
him. But yet you still bash him, Dan.
Of course
That's
I
the
do, because I think he's a
contradiction.
shit manager. Because I think he's a shit manager.
Yeah, and I think
So-
Levy's a shit
that's
chairman. And I think
Yeah,
Levy's a
so
shit
do I.
chairman.
But
So-
you've got to
so
look
why
at,
is
I
it-
think you've got
so-
I think
but
you've got to
Dan,
take the
can you not see the
emotional side
contradiction?
out of this. You've
Can
got
you
to
not
take
see
the
the
emotional side of
contradiction?
this. No,
Can
I
you not-
get what you're saying, but can't you see what I am trying to tell you? And
Then,
so is
then,
Maz.
then the argument falls.
You're being too emotional on this, yeah? Sometimes in life,
No, I'm
you
not.
just
I'm being
have to be
logical. A
tactical.
contradiction is not
I
is
don't
not an
think-
emotion. It's a behavior
No.
that you're showing. It's not
Right.
emotional.
So it's purely down to the fact that we got the cup final. Because you know the blame would have got put on the
So
protest.
stop being
by
Ange out.
so
So
many
stop being
thousands
Ange
of
out until
people.
we win the cup final, Dan.
No, I'm not
Exactly.
going to stop
So
being
that's
Ange
the
out or
contradiction.
Ange out.
That
No,
is
it
the
wasn't just me
contradiction.
sitting here. I'm not 2,000 or 3,000 people walking down.
No,
the
it's
Spurs
all you Ange Outlaw. It's you Ange Outlaw. It's not just you. It's the Ange Outlaw. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to say to
I mean,
all of
we
you
had the
earlier.
blame for this half the season, but that's a very small amount. What are we to the protest at the end of the day?
what's the
We
difference?
don't make the news. We're not. We get a
you-
bit of negative shit on here, whatever, and that.
You are cherry picking
comes
when
down
it's
to
okay
the
to be
con-
strategic. That's what's happening,
No,
and that's
I
the
am
contradiction.
saying you need.
And I see
Look,
through it.
if I sit here and could not, well, see through what you want. You're not seeing very far. I'll give you that one. Maybe
I am,
go.
because you can't explain your contradiction, yet I can.
I am explaining it. Me sitting here slating Ange.
How do you explain it, Dan? You just admitted that you're Ange out, even when you're being accused of the problem.
Yeah, because I still think he's Ange out. I just
And
don't
you still think Levy out is a
would have
problem.
been- yes, and I don't think today would have been the tactical right time to do it.
And I
That
don't
is
think
all I'm
slamming Ange before a European final is tactically clever either for the team.
saying. Fine. Then that's your opinion. And that's all
No,
it is.
that's what's
Nothing
going
more,
on at the
nothing
club,
less.
Dan. That's what's going on.
But that's your opinion. Nothing more, nothing less.
No, Dan, that's what's going on. You
opinion.
said that. You just said that. You just said that we're getting called out for having a go at Ange.
Yeah, we've had it all season. And what do I care? That's a small amount of it.
Exactly. You don't care. You carry on. So why
when there's
do
two,
we carry
when
on?
there's 2 or 3
Levy out.
thousand
I haven't said
people
Levy
in there,
or Levy like Ange.
right? But look on it on this way: when there's 2 or 3,000 people standing there, and they get the total blame for it, those people sitting on the fence, we need them. They don't need us.
There's
We need
5,000
them for
fans
ourselves.
online saying Ange
more-
out. We need the other lot to
the
get on
more-
board to get rid of Ange. It
It-
works both ways.
But Angie's got fuck Ange. He's the
Fuck
short-term
Levy.
problem.
Fuck
Levy
Levy.
is the
It's the same
long-term
thing.
problem. So look on the protests as the long term. You've got to look further ahead than this.
But if we don't get Ange out, that's going to be a long term.
Look, Ange ain't going to be a long-term problem. He's going to fuck. If he ain't gone at the end of this season, he's gone at the end of next season. But I'll bet you a grand here and now that he's gone this season, yeah?
But if we carry on with the Levy out protest, we might
problem-
force a change of how the clubs run, which includes Ange.
Whereas if it goes wrong on this one in particular, it can
This is a
backfire
contradiction.
in a massive way. I'm only more worried about the backfire it can have, because then all the people sitting on the fence will sit there and go, do you know what? Yeah, there is a point we do, and just want an excuse, like all Spurs fans always fucking do, a majority of them, yeah? And when the blame gets put down on there and the majority looks on it on there, you're going to have the people sitting on the fence who were going to come over go, no, hang on a sec. These protests ain't fuck all. We've done this, we've done this, we've done this, and it's down to their pricks that we've done it to the players.
Or
this
it's
and
down
that.
to you, Ange out pricks.
It's
It's down to you, Ange out pricks, for not getting behind Ange and still slamming him before a European final. They'll use that excuse, Dan. That's how they think. If they don't attack the protest,
I get
come
you,
off
but
and
that
Ange
is
out.
going to be a much smaller. That is going to be a much smaller amount of people and a much smaller.
There's more Ange out than Levy out.
Show.
There's more Ange out than Levy
Oh,
out.
I'm not disputing that in a million miles, yeah.
So how's it
But
smaller?
again, what we say on here, you don't get protests about it, Ange out, this and that, players out, whatever out.
Change
We're
for
all about
Tottenham,
Levy
change
out.
of everything, which includes Ange.
Well,
It factors it in, doesn't it?
Look, at the end of the day, don't bullshit me, mate. Yeah, you're on this
I'm
purely
not
for Levy
bullshitting you.
out,
I'm
yeah?
challenging your argument, Dan. And now you're
Right,
getting
and I'm
emotional.
challenging
See,
you.
you
No, I
now
don't
you're
get
getting
emotional.
emotional. You see, now you're.
No,
I stayed on point
telling
with the
you
argument.
straight. I'm telling you straight. You do not do these protests to get Ange out. That is the last thing in the back of your mind.
No,
If
we
you
do it
tell
for
me
change
otherwise-
for Tottenham. Change means whatever you
You
want it
do
to be.
this-
Some are
okay,
Levy, some are
fine.
Enix, some are
But
manager,
you-
some are
yeah, but
football
you do
director.
this
I'm there because of the
most
board.
Of us doing it, Levy out. You want Levy out, and that is what a majority of this protest is about.
Yeah.
99%.
Yes.
Right. Whether
Most of the people there
is
should
in
be
here
that.
or
Yes.
not is irrelevant, yeah, because he's going to be gone this season or next season anyway, yeah. So that one is irrelevant.
No.
Change Tottenham
The
and all
argument
this.
isn't whether it's relevant or not. The argument is you
Right,
saying
and if
that
most
we're
of the
going to get the
fans
blame
there-
for protesting. Yeah, I'm saying to you being Ange out, the Ange out lot will get the blame also for still being
Okay.
Ange out.
But
Yeah, you
that
don't change
wasn't
your
the
stance
original
on that.
question, though.
Yeah, you don't change your stance on
blame on
that,
me.
and you want the
Right.
Levy
Blame
out
on
lot
me.
to stop.
But that
But-
the original
sorry,
question
it's a
was
contradiction. It's a direct contradiction.
Then put the blame on me as much as you want.
I'm not
one
blaming you.
person.
I'm not blaming
No,
anyone.
I know that. I'm
Can I
talking
say
about in
something?
general, yeah?
Can I
Put it
say
on
something?
everything hang on, Murray. Put it on as much as you want. We're a small amount of people. We need that protest to go right in every single way, every time, and hit it at the right point to make the right points to get the other people on our side. On that protest, if anything, I don't really care if they're on the protest because they're Ange out, yeah? Because for me, the protest isn't about Ange out. Ange ain't the fucking football club. He's just a shit manager that needs to go. Levy is the major problem here, the long-term problem, the one that's going to take ages if we're going to get anything into. Yeah, Ange ain't worth a wank. It's irrelevant. Yeah, this protest.
It's irrelevant to you.
Do not tell me this protest is about Ange. Seriously.
No, now you're changing the argument. Now you're shifting the argument away from the point which I made, which is
I will say
it's
this.
okay for you to be Ange out and still bash him, even though the Ange outlet will get the blame for being Ange out before a European final. But
I will say this.
the out protest because you might get the blame.
I will say
That is
this.
a contradiction.
I
I'm sorry.
I will say
I
this.
care about the protest. The whole protest itself will get slammed for it, and that's 2,000 or 3,000 people.
And Jout will get
standing
slammed for it, Dan.
People
Dan,
stand-
Dan,
No, no.
and if
Can
you
I say this?
and
Can I say
if
this?
we lose the final,
Simon,
the and
can I say
Jout
this?
You
will
have
get
to let
slammed
other
for it.
people come
No.
in. You can't just
Let me say
keep,
this.
like, shouting at each other.
Simon Yemene and Change for Lane and these people who have big accounts on Twitter, they're already prepared. If we lose the Europa final, they're going to blame number one and out supporters. They're already asking for apologies. They are asking apologies because we did not back this manager and we didn't back this team. Thus, this is why I'm going to lose the Europa League. They're already saying it. I'm just telling you what it is. You could go to the accounts. Simon Yemenen, who's been on Last Word Spurs, has a big pull. Change for the lane. This guy, never seen his face. Very huge. Brian knows his account, and the others. They're ready asking for apologies. We haven't even played the Europa League final, and they're ready to blame us and Jouters that if Spurs lose, the reason is number one because we didn't back Ange, we didn't back this team. They're ready at work. They're ready at work. Go on X. Go on Twitter.
Yeah, this is where I think I hope that my statement now will bring a little bit of clarity. The current way of protesting from Change for Tottenham is on specific dates that they arrange in advance, as Brian rightly said, and it takes a lot of arranging to do. Because it's not every week, that means that they have an opportunity and the precedent has been set for them to be strategic in the days they choose to protest. All I'm saying is because of that fact, today wasn't the right time to do it because of what happened. That's the only thing I'm saying. I personally wouldn't have chosen that date. However, I agree with everyone's points. That doesn't make me all of a sudden back Levy or back Andrew or not be able to talk about him and all of that. All I'm saying is Change for Tottenham being strategic, and if I was their strategic advisor, I would say I wouldn't do it on this date. If we can move it, let's try and do another date. That's all I'm saying.
But then, Maz,
That's the last thing I'm going to say on it.
Maz, the thing
Stop
about
being
this
Ange
is,
out. Stop being Ange out to the European final.
Still, the thing about this as well with this, Maz, is you got to remember, like I said, when Stel and I were attending protests and people were arranging it in the group that we were in and what we're doing, it was literally, it wasn't as organised as we're going to be at the club shop, be there, we're here from XYZ time to XYZ time. Change for Spurs have to get this all authorised and all done and planned beforehand, and all the security with that. So they have to pick a game and announce it. They couldn't just go Thursday, okay, we're out the cup.
That's true.
We're out the cup. Guess what? We're spring time. Because the thing is,
that's a
but
fair
the thing is, if we had gone out, which obviously now we haven't, thank God we're in the final, and they hadn't done something, everyone would be going, well, Change for Tottenham.
It's true.
Why haven't you arranged something? It's one of the final home games. So this is the thing. I Change for Tottenham, and I'm always going to have their back. I'm always going to fight their corner. Whether people agree, whether people who support Change for Spurs don't agree with this, as I've said, the amount of time, effort, all the things they've organised, the flags, everything at their own expense, people will not understand the amount of time outside of their jobs, responding to emails, responding to social media, going on the streams, pushing it out there, going and doing the media, whether it be the written media, mainstream media, Sky Sports, whatever, giving up time with their family, literally going around and around to organise this. They cannot just say, well, do you know what? Let's see what happens. We'll roll the dice. Because if we had, now, obviously, we know now we're in the final. Like I said, yippee-ki-yay, we're in the final, brilliant. If we had gone out, it would have been huge. It would have been massive. The half-time would have been, yeah, let's do it. Let's get involved. Let's all do it and really finally show. But they can't know until what happened. The worst thing is, if Change for Spurs had gone out today, or after Thursday, said, you know what? In the light of this one win, is about. Remember, this is about Levy. Forget Ange.
Yeah.
Ange's right. This is solely about Levy. Do I want Ange out? Yes. Do I want players out? Yes. Do I protest for any of that? Hell no. I protest to get Daniel Levy, Joe Lewis, Donna Cullen, and all the others out of my football club or out of our football club. But if they hadn't done a protest, and they all come out and said, you know what, we're cancelling it because of this, they look weak. They look okay.
I agree, and their points, Brian, and their
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying about you.
I know, but I'm just saying
when people organise these for all these thousands that have turned up, whether it be from London, Newcastle, Manchester, Brighton, Canada, people from America, time and effort goes into that. They get there. They just come along. They attend. They go to the meeting point at the end of the high road by the sports. It's like, oh, here we go. Here's the protest. And as we talk about protest, I thought I saw Mr. Finland, but I haven't. People just turn up. It has been hours and hours and hours and weeks and months and getting the contacts within Spurs to be able to make sure these banners go through, to make sure the flags can get through, to converse with the club, to erect. They couldn't just go, oh, do you know what? We're going to cancel for this one game.
No, look, Brian, this point's well made, right? And I see that side of the argument. And maybe, they like, as you said, they couldn't cancel it. But what I guess what I take umbrage with is just because I personally think that I would have advised them differently, doesn't mean that, like Stell says, oh, then don't be Ange out until the final. That doesn't hold any logic because I'm not saying don't protest. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, in answer to the original question is, what do you think about today's protest? And I'm saying is, I kind of expected this to happen today, right? And the fallout from that is 50 people turned up and we're getting all this fallout now from it. That's all I'm saying.
Because change for Tottenham back down. That's why they backed down. They should have stood their ground.
Right, fine. And that's a complete, but I'm not arguing that fact. So I'm taking umbrage because Dan's argument is slightly different to my argument completely, right? And your argument
how is your argument different? You both don't think we should have protested because it's strategically the right thing to do. And I'm saying strategically then stop being Ange out to the cup final because that would impact the team as well.
No, because I'm not saying don't protest because of the impact of the team. I never said that, did I?
I know, because
what I said is
we'll get the blame for it though.
The movement will get the blame for the final. That's
and the Ange outlook will get the blame for the final if the protests don't go ahead anyway.
Right. Okay. I'll answer yes or no. If we lose the final and the protest went ahead today, will we get blamed for it? Yes or no?
Who's we?
Ange out.
Protesters.
Protesters.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone. Everyone under that umbrella, then yes,
Well, I'm not going to start listing out all the fragments of the.
But it's important though because you can't pick and choose which fragment you want to steal back.
Everyone's being blamed.
What fragment are we part of then?
Maz,
all of it.
Everyone's being blamed. Everyone's being blamed.
So should Manchester United win the Europa League, and their fans will be singing, "We want Glazers out," say "We want Glazers out"? The reason they won it.
This is why I made it clear in my argument that I'm suggesting not to protest today because of our fan base, because of how pathetic they are.
Exactly.
Right? You're arguing they're pathetic, they're this, they're that, and the other, and I get all your points, and I agree with them wholeheartedly, which is why every time you say your points, both of you, I say I agree with what you're saying. Right? All I'm saying is strategically, I don't think it would have worked today, and it didn't work today, right?
Because change the top.
That doesn't make it right just because I think that, as I've said, and I repeat, right? We should be protesting week in, week out, every day, all types of protest. That every event going, we should be doing that. But our fan base is given up. They're pathetic. Right? For all the reasons you guys have said, right? Therefore, that means we have to operate ever so slightly differently to make this successful, right? That's all I'm advocating for. Anyway.
Can we talk about the game today? The cuck show that we had today.
Well,
at
we'll
Tottenham
move
Stadium.
on to the game. We'll move on to the game.
Yeah,
It's
because it
clear
was a
we've got
cuck show.
different views on this. Now, listen, I'd rather we have different views when we have them, if that's how we feel, than just agree. Because
Exactly.
this was going to be a divided opinion. This one, this has divided fans. When I went on We Are Tottenham TV, I said this is going to divide fans. This whole protesting, but. Look, a couple of super chats, then we'll move on. Terry O'Shea says, Dan, you made a point of holding a convo about a 10-minute protest not being supportive, but today no mention of the negative impact when half the stadium left. Do you want to respond to that, Dan?
Right. Let me understand that properly. You made no point of holding a convo about a 10-minute protest. I've never spoke about a 10-minute protest. What I was talking about was 2,000 or 3,000 people marching down the street, and as all that bothers me is them all getting the blame for it and the negative lot for if we lose that game, and then everything gets chucked onto there when we actually need people. For me, it's more the tactics. People walking out. If you listen to what I said earlier, Terry, I totally agreed with Brian on how it just contradicts our fan base so much. But basically, as far as I'm concerned, just makes it right what I'm saying and what Maz is trying to say to an extent on how the fan base is so split and divided and plastic anyway, they will find an excuse. Now, if us and out lot get the blame for it on YouTube, yeah, and what? It's irrelevant. That protest needs to look good in every which way. That protest needs to attract in every which way. Whether we do it or not, because we're Ange out, fuck it. Who cares?
But they talk about Ange out on the mainstream media as well, though. It's not just on YouTube. It's mainstream
I just
media.
think it's a much bigger thing that we need to keep an eye on more than what we say on here.
All right, let's go to the next super chat. Rich says 17th and the fans still won't protest. We're fucked. Terry O'Shea says Man United protested today during their game. The message is clear. All right, let's go. Sorry, Brian.
I said back the team, though. Back the team.
Yeah, look, we'll back the team. Absolutely. Look, let's get on to the game itself. Here comes the rinse and repeat button now. Click. So the starting lineup, Kinski finally starting in goal for Spurs after a long while. We've been asking for him to play a bit more. There he was. Pedro Porro, the surprise starter. Some of us thought he would be rested, but he started. Danzo, Davies and Spencer all starting as expected. Sarr and Gray starting as we thought. Bentancur, maybe a bit of a surprise. I don't know. Kulu started, which some people thought he should have been rested. Others say he needs the minutes because he's not been playing well. He needs to get up to speed. And then Tell and Odebert were the two wide forwards. We had Vicario, Romero, Van der Ven, Basuma, Mikey Moore, Brennan Johnson, Son returning. And he came on. Richarlison and Solanke all on the bench. It was nothing short of a one-sided affair. Crystal Palace, they dominated possession 53% to 47%. They had 23 shots on our goal, 10 on target. Tottenham had 8 shots the whole game, 1 on target. Guess who the home team was? Clear-cut chances. I've never heard anything like this. 8 clear-cut chances to 1 is nothing short of a joke. 8 corners to our 4. Listen, Palace could have been 3-4-0 up at half-time. They had a couple of VAR decisions went against them. Second half, Kinski made 1 or 2 unbelievably good saves to keep the scoreline respectable. Spurs maybe should have scored a goal. Pape Sarr missing from close range. Maybe another effort had a chance. But look, no one's going to say Palace didn't deserve it. The stats back it. I think our eyes back it. First half, we got rinsed down the right-hand flank. Munez and Eze tearing Ben Davies and Spence apart, but they were high and inverted, gaps everywhere. We've seen it all season. This player here was the star of the show, man. Eze was fantastic today. The player we all wanted. Some fans said he's not good enough for Spurs. His stats aren't right. Well, I'll tell you what, his stats were good today.
And said that too.
And said that too. Look, before I get into the post-match, what Ange said, and Brian Dable's got a little Ange table he's built for us. Guys, 20 losses in one season. The way we're just dismissing the league as just fuck it, just don't worry, lose, Europa. I was saying on We Are Tottenham TV earlier, I think this is the most high-risk strategy I've ever seen the club take. And I'm not talking about the formation, the tactics. Our season solely depends on a 90-minute game of football in Bilbao, maybe more if it's extra time and penalties. But that one game, we are either boom or bust. Win it, we're back in the Champions League. We get the money from the Champions League prize money. We can attract, hopefully, you'd like to think, better players. And we should be able to keep some of our better players as well. Lose, we will have a £60 million deficit on the budget for next year for transfers, which means before we can even think of signing, we've got to sell. We will have a new manager merry-go-round. Transfer window, or as Brian calls it, buzzword bingo, will start. The club will be a complete mess, attracting players, keeping... Honestly, guys, this strategy of fuck the league, and I was saying to Ben and Sim earlier, at least Poch, he kept us in Europe when we were getting to semi-finals or finals of cup competitions.
Yep.
He managed to balance the two. For me, with the squad we've got and all the injuries we've had, if Ange just used a bit of the Europa Cup tactics, a bit more in the Premier League, I think we're minimum a mid-table team, maybe a little bit higher. 17th is unrecognisable. The football club is a Big Six club, third richest in the world. Football guys, I'm gobsmacked.
Still, I'm about to.
Murray, you go. I've set it up. You know, let's discuss.
Yeah, because I'm at 11.
Oh, he's got to go, Michael. Then I'll come to you.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, because I'm on my cell phone. I'm having internet problems.
Go for
So
it.
I may die.
Michael.
My phone may die any moment. I'm gonna say three things about this game. Number one, for those who want entertainment, this is, like I said, don't anybody be offended. Any little kids that are watching the stream, I said at the beginning of the program of the show, we are Cuck FC, because literally watching the game, I kid you not, it's like the scenario where a visitor comes into your house, grab your missus or your girl, and you watch them over and over and over and over attack. In this case, there are, you're watching them take pleasure in your house over and over again. Those guys, Mateta, Sar, and Eze, you may laugh, BBC. They went BBC, right? Black man, I can say it. I'm a black man, I can say it. They went BBC because they kept attacking. We are fortunate. It was only 2 goals. Dan heard me. Our best defender today was VAR. VAR was our best defender today. Our man of the match on Spurs was VAR today. It is depressing. It's absolutely disgusting. Every week, there is a new hold my beer. I got something new for you. Crystal Palace dominated that game in our building from beginning to end. It should have been 7-8-0. They dominated the game from beginning to end. Munoz was running in there. Like Bruno Fernandes, we're going to play the 11th game. Well, Mari, that's not our first team. Oh, doesn't matter. Kulu limped off. I was saying on Salva's post-game show, he's not really going to be missed. Kulu, Stell, I have been hard on Kulu the last couple of seasons. He processes real slow. Me and Will Stewart, when we used to do the watch-alongs, he does things very slow. The person that we're missing is Madison. I'm predicting we miraculously win the Europa League, but I just don't know how without Madison. You saw our attack today. The game was horrible from all endpoints. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. Based on, and I said this on Salva's show, don't care if we win the Europa League final 7-0 over United and we hoist that trophy. There's no way that Ange should be our manager on June 1st, July 1st, going on. If he is there, It is a wasted season. It is a wasted season. We are going to have. It makes no sense to have a manager that you know is going to fail the first 10 to 15 games next season, because we're pretty much going to have the same team. We're actually going to lose Romero, maybe Kulu, and a couple of people, but it's basically going to be the same team. And mind you, out of his own mouth in the post game, say, well, the reason why we're doing bad is because we had the Carabao Cup and
But
Europa.
he isn't going to be here, Mari. Like, why talk about him?
Yeah. So for me, if he is here, it is a wasted season. And then people want him old if we win the Europa, old next season. Okay, then you're guaranteeing it's going to be a wasted season, because what manager is going to now want to fix that mess 10 to 15 games in of Champions League and Premier League, and now now he's admitting it, but it's just a total shit show. And so for me, you know, like I agree with Dan. These games mean nothing anymore. So the integrity of those paying customers who are coming in, our last home game, why go to the game? The team is basically tell you, don't show up to the game, because we're not gonna put all of our effort. We're going to get pumped. Who was our last home game? Brighton? Is it Brighton?
Yes.
Right at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brighton at home. Who's gonna lead that game? Because it's possible Europe for them. There's a scenario that 8th and 9th this season, because if City wins the FA Cup and the other team win, that it will fall down to 8th and 9th. So they're battling out. We're going to get pumped again. Another cuck show. So I'm at 7%. Levy out, Ange out, Mung out, Lange out, everybody out. I'm out.
I'm out. Big up Mari, as always, from the US of A. Right, Mari's off. I think Mr. Box Office wants to come in. Big up Alex, hope you're doing well. Michael, the floor is yours, brother. That performance was... Does anyone care? Should we care? 20 losses, does it matter anymore? How do we take it? I've told you, Michael, I think this is the most high-risk strategy this club has ever gone on. I think it's insane, personally, but we'll see.
First of all, it's kind of funny because I came in because I thought we will talk longer about the protest. I kid you not, I pretty much didn't watch the game today. Like, I had it on the TV, but I just couldn't care to watch the game. So I'm not going to talk with you about the specifics of the game. I just think that Mandem FC from Croydon, they just rolled us over and all that stuff. Like, I don't know what else to say, right? Like, honestly, it was such a shit show, right? Whenever I watched the screen, Crystal Palace were in possession, attacking our goal and creating dangerous opportunities, right? That's all that happened today. But yeah, I agree with you. It's and also, like, before I talk about the final in Bilbao, right? You said, should we care that it's the 20th loss, right? This manager should have been sacked after like 12 games this season, maybe like 14 games, not 60, right? Because we are closing to 60 games this season, if I remember correctly, or like 55 or something like that, right? Like, he should have been sacked back then, and all of us here in this stream and others that aren't present here said back then in December or November that it's going to end like that, right? We were having shows in January where we are counting how many losses we will have until the end of the season, right? And I remember vividly, right? We said we are going to Stamford Bridge away, we are going to lose it, right? We are going to Liverpool, lose it, right? We are going Craven Cottage, we are going to lose this.
The next game, right? Aston Villa, we predicted would lose 2 months ago. Yeah.
And
we will. And we will.
Yeah, and we will. Yeah, so all of us said it's going to end like that, right? all of us said it's going to end like that, so it's not surprising. I don't care, right?
This club, man, this club.
Unfortunately, mate, as much as I think we should care about each game, right? We are no longer at a point where it matters if we do or not, right? This manager has done such a shit job that we just lost our 20th game in the season and we don't care, right? None of us care. Like, we only care about that one game, as you said, right? And as you said, it's such a dangerous tactic from the management of the team. From the management of the, like, from basically from Levy and the board, right? Like, what the fuck is going on through their head, right? Like, that's such. We are saying, like, me, Dan, and a couple others said that you wouldn't be surprised if Levy was doing this to spite the fans, right? To all the fans that said stick with a manager, back him with money, right? Don't sack him before the final and all that stuff. We wouldn't be surprised if Levy actually done that, right? But on the other hand, I also take Ian's point where he says that we are 60 million at a 60 million loss because this season will end like that, right? So it's not a logical decision from financial point of view, and
only if we don't win the Europa, Michael.
Yes, but listen, just purely on probability, Levy should have pulled the trigger 6 months ago, right? I bet you he knew it's going to end like that, right? Not that we are going to be in a final. He knew that we are going to be so shit in the league and we aren't going to qualify to Europe through the league, right? So I just cannot understand why they didn't sack him. And it's, as you said, we are like 100 minutes away from basically making or breaking our history, pretty much. Like, don't be surprised if we lose the final. It's going to be like that for the next 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because as much as I don't think some of these players are good, we are going to lose them and we are going to suffer because we won't have the money to replace them. And yeah, just overall a shit experience. And as Matt said, as soon as I started supporting Spurs, we went to shit. So sorry, guys, my bad. I take it on the chest.
Yeah, Michael.
What's let's go around. We'll go around the table. Let's go. Maz will go around. Maz. So with that performance today, do you kind of agree with my thinking that this is the most high risk strategy we've gone for, where we're just dismissing everything and just literally saying, Europa, because it is literally a boom or bust way of thinking, in my view. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're spot on still. What validates what you said is I was convinced going into this second season that Ange would be sacked by Christmas, if not Christmas, January. And the fact that he hasn't been sacked, the fact that every week we've been saying, if he loses this game, he's going to get sacked. Then the next game comes. If he loses this game, it's going to get sacked. The fact that we've been constantly saying that, constantly waiting for him to be sacked, and Levy's doubled down, where if he changed it when he normally does, then something could have been salvaged this season. Now you could say, but how do you know if you made a change that would have even reached the final of the Europa? Well, look, we don't know. This is retrospective thinking at the moment, but it was predictable in the summer that this was going to happen. So we're in a proper crap situation, basically, to summarize. It's an incredibly high risk situation. It's boom or bust. We need to win this cup, because if we don't win it, the fallout from this I think will be absolutely catastrophic to Tottenham Hotspur. I think we're going to have major problems attracting.
Do you know what? That's the right word. Fallout. Good word. Fallout.
Yeah. I think we're going to have major problems attracting talent and a good manager next season. I mean, we had problems before. We had problems before we got when we were trying to look for Nuno, and Nuno was like our 84th choice or whatever it was. Then Conte decided to say yes because we chucked 20 million at him a year or whatever it was. Then when Conte left, we had another problem trying to find the next manager because no one wanted to come to Spurs. So going into this season, when if Ange leaves, if they make the decision for Ange to leave, because they may think, who the hell are we going to get if we don't keep Ange, right? And that's what I'm worried about. It's going to be diabolical, absolutely diabolical. So, yes, to answer your question, it's our most high risk move strategy that I've ever seen Daniel Levy take ever. I don't mean that as a compliment.
Before we go to Mr. Daigle, very quickly, Artist T and Michael, just a quick answer to this one. Is your local Polish team, at least, are they winning, Michael?
We got relegated yesterday.
Oh my God.
I knew I was right about you. I knew it. Right? So you come and support our club. We go, shit. Your team gets relegated, and now we're going to get bloody relegated next season.
Yeah, it's your fault, Mike.
Mate, do you know what? If you supported England as well, man, you'd be finished. You'd be finished if you support England as well.
I support Poland. Isn't that enough pain?
No, England's a different
No.
different type of pain.
Yeah. England's like supporting international Tottenham, basically. It hurts at every
yeah, exactly. International Tottenham. I just want to do a quick shout out to this Super Tottenham TV. They put loads of nostalgic football videos and content up on YouTube. Check out his YouTube channel. I never knew who he was until yesterday. I was in the gym pretending to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he comes up to me, he goes, Stelios, Tottenham away. So I said, mate, I'll big you up. And there he is. Big up to Bullen, come up to me. We had a good chat about YouTube and whatnot. Brother, thanks for watching the show. Right, Brian, you have put together...
Well, first of all, I'll quickly. So basically, before we talk about the game, before we put it out, let me just dress it up. I don't know if people have this where it's like fingers down a chalkboard to me. But when Ange Postecoglou says we weren't at the levels, it is the most annoying, frustrating thing. All the other excuse, we weren't at the levels, we weren't at the levels. Yeah, we weren't nowhere near the levels, blah, 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 blah. Mate, it's literally your job to get us to the levels. And if we're not at the levels, you should be doing something to change the levels. So I made a picture up a little while ago, and I've been waiting for the next time he said it. And then today he said we weren't at the levels. So this is my little picture that I've made up for him and using on my social media. Forecast, you can see the weather. We're below the levels today. Every single time I heard his press conferences, yeah, we weren't at the levels today. He even said it in the Celtic game against Bodo. He even said it against Bodo. He goes, yeah, we just weren't at the levels today. I don't know, the bloody levels. Surely, yeah.
Can I quickly say, you know, my favourite one here is other levels.
Yeah. Well, no. Do you know what it was, Stel? When I created this, when I put this in, ChatGPT actually mixed all the letters up, so it said the blah, blah, blah levels. And I was like, what? So I got it redone, and it came up with other levels. But yeah, but now it's all about the levels. You listen, every time he goes on about it, we just weren't at the levels. Yeah, we just, it drives me mad. But with that said, with what I'm going to say about the game, I'm actually going to lay off Ange, because we all know 20 defeats. We all know the formation change. We all know all of that. We know where it's coming down to. But I said it on We Are Tottenham TV today, and I'm going to say it here again. I think I spoke to you about it as well still. It comes to the point now where you look at these set of players. Crystal Palace are in a final, and normally you'd hear these players, if they didn't turn up, do you know what? They didn't want to get injured before an FA Cup final. They didn't want to get injured, so they didn't play right. Or when it comes to a World Cup tournament and the players for whatever nationalities, everyone says they take their foot off the gas because they don't want to miss the World Cup. Well, I'm sorry. The players in this football club, right now, Spurs have got to a European final. Yes, the formation, we can keep bashing Ange and whatever you want to do. But I'm sorry, when you know you've got two Premier League games, and the fringe players are going to be playing, the day and age that I used to be, when we used to get to the FA Cup final from the semi-final to the final, every single player would bust a goddamn gut and put in a shift and try and get to their maximum output to try and give the manager pause for thought and think, you know what, maybe that position isn't completely nailed on. Maybe this guy has given me a dilemma of who I pick up in the final and the team I select. We go into this game where it practically is a wholesale changes. Everyone, I was one of the ones that Archie Gray at Anfield, I thought he'd been thrown under a bus by Ange and said he should have been played at home in a game where that. So he gets put in the position where he wants to do nothing. These players, I didn't even try to play to try and get into the final. They're running around this pitch like it's Hackney Bloody Marshes and Sunday League. And as much as we can all go back and say, as Postecoglou, you've got to go, and your tactics, why he doesn't play some games like he did away at Europe, because I think we'd win a hell of a lot more games. You thought he'd want to play those games to get the players used to a system ready for that. But there's only so many times we can keep blaming Ange Postecoglou, and he is the guy that sets that team out. But there is absolutely, I like I said, I don't know if it's my age, and football has changed, and people are, I can see in the comments a few are. But when you got to an FA Cup final, or a Carabao Cup final, or if you're trying to get into the England team, and I'm saying England obviously because I'm English, and you get into the provisional team, you train as hard as you can to get the manager to go, oh, wait a minute. Then you have to put the friendlies before he has to announce it. And you have this now for the final of the the Europa League Cup. You'd say that the back five is pretty nailed on. You'd say Vicario is nailed on. And then the rest. But you still got time to go, do you know what, Ange? I'm going to put in a performance right now. But when I come off the pitch, you're going to go, maybe he can do the job. Let's see what he can do. Let's see how he's acted in training. Then we've got Villa. Let's see if he can handle himself at Villa. So it gives me food for thought to think, do you know what, maybe I can utilise him. Or maybe substitutions at times, if things are going right, I can bring it. Those players could not give a fuck. They were thinking, right, what time is my plane leaving to take me to wherever I'm going on my holiday? As much as we can blame Ange, as much as we can say, yeah, the tactics are wrong, the formation that he's asking us to play, these players they're professional footballers. The pinnacle of their careers are playing in finals. And then they get a chance to show the manager something. It's like, yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't get these players had an opportunity. They're embarrassing.
Brian, do you think it's because the players that are going to play in the final already know they're going to play in the final? The reason I say that is Archie Gray's been dropped ever since the other players came back fit from injury. Jed Spence, he was playing really, really well. As soon as Porro and Udogie are fit, Spence got dropped. Danzo, he's clearly a backup. Do you think it's because Ange knows who he's going to play regardless, as long as they're fit? So the other players think, well, why the fuck am I bothering? Because you ain't going to change your mind. Just a question.
You're right, but you look at it, if he's being that rigid, Kulusevski, who's been woefully off form, could now have an injury. He's got to, he doesn't go, surely still on you with your coaching bag, don't just go, right, this is my 11, that's it, it's done. Unchangeable. No matter what happens.
Yeah, of course.
So you'd think, right, if he's given me the team, I'm still going to put as much effort as I can in to say, do you know what? He fucking stood up against Crystal Palace or against Aston Villa. He put in a shift. He had a great performance. He's actually done better. And I'm going to be playing this formation, this standard. Maybe there is a case. I think the only five that guaranteed are the back five. You may have a thought that, so is it Solanke or Richarlison up front? Is it Tell or Richarlison on the left? Is it Johnson on the right, or am I going to play Kulu if he's fit? Is it this? Is it there are places where, and even forget that, professional pride to say, Joe, I'm going to end the season with a flourish. I'm going to do something. I think the only five, certain, like hard as nails, not moving anywhere, is why the whole back five were rested. The whole back five were rested. They start regardless. They're going to be wrapped up in cotton wool. The rest of them should think, you know what, I can't here, and want to show and give him some kind of food for thought. Because, like I said at the beginning, we can carry on blaming Ange, but the focus has been so much on Ange that I think we're neglecting how shit these players actually are. How they are. Mate, like I've said before, Stel, my first season ticket was 1995, and I had it for 10 years. I went to see people like Colin Cawthon and Dean Austin.
Class.
Bloody, what's his name? Darren Caskey. And players like this, that no matter what, they could maybe not have been, they weren't the greater players, but I never ever doubted their commitment. Ever. Not ever. And they were trying to get them. And it just, like I said, we can keep going on about Ange Postecoglou, who 100% I agree is not good enough, not fit for purpose, keeps changing the formation, don't know what he's going to do, but these players have got a lot to answer for.
Okay.
Just want to do a couple of super chats quickly because otherwise
I don't disagree with what Savage has said. I don't disagree with. Mate, I keep saying, listen, I keep saying, and every time I say it, and I'm going to say it now whilst I've just got my bit, I keep saying that I want Thomas Frank to be our next manager. People are like, oh my God, no, not to Thomas Frank. Not Thomas Frank. Fucking Ange done the double over him. Oh my God, how shit must he be? Blah, 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 blah. The guy is 17 points and 13 places ahead of us. The guy works on a lower budget.
Brentford 17 points ahead of us.
17 points ahead of us.
Oh my
and
Lord.
13 positions.
Dog shit, man.
Why would he come and ruin his career at Spurs?
Well,
That's the only thing.
Maz, I said that, and I said to people, do you know what? It probably turned us down because of, and they're like, no, he'll come for the money. Well, Ariola's saying he's to commit to Bournemouth. Thomas Frank, these people that go, oh my God, he's shit. But Ange done the double. Would you rather Ange done the double, or would you rather be 17 points and 13 places?
That result.
Goal difference, where everyone said we had the best goal difference, and oh my God, let's be happy that we got a bigger goal difference. Brentford's are higher than ours. They lost Ivan Toney, their star striker. They lost their star goalkeeper. They move on. They deal with things. He changes formations. He makes players better. But no, let's not have Thomas Frank.
Brian, what I would say, and I'm not, this is not a counterpoint to anything you said. What I would say is, I think the strategy from the club has to be, we have to pay similar massive money we're paying to Jose Conte, if not maybe more now, right? And then we have to go to top established managers and say, look, the only way is up now, right? You could become a hero at Spurs. Please come to Spurs. Here's the best wages in the league or something like that. That's the only way I can see us getting a decent manager or a manager willing to come to Spurs. And I think that Levy's high-risk strategy this season has sabotaged the club so much that no football person wants to come in its current form because there's no football people in the club anymore. Ange, I don't care what anyone says. Ange for me isn't a football person. I think is a PE teacher. You know, he's a canteen worker. He's the worst manager I've ever seen. Yeah, you know, he might as well just be serving food to people. Like not to downgrade that, you know, that profession to anyone, but you know, he's the worst manager we've ever seen. Lange, I think's recruitment policy that he's done with Ange has been woeful, absolutely woeful. Like Gray, £40 million we've spent on him. 40.
We're going to get onto the players after. We're going to talk about players.
But
still, 40 million.
I know. I don't.
We're worried. Levy's worried about qualifying for the bloody Europe and the Champions League and missing out on the prize money, and he's just going to go and sunk 40 million for a kid that isn't ready to be in the Premier League. You know, all right? Tell 10 million quid to get this guy on loan. That isn't better than any of our youngsters. In fact, I'd say he's the worst player in the squad. I think he's rubbish. He's one of the worst players I've ever seen. And anyone who says, well, I'm going on to them now, right? Anyone who ever says, right, well, I might as well. I've started. Anyone who's ever says that, oh, I could maybe still become, maybe Tell will.
How dare you? How dare you?
Maybe
I know you think I'm shit, Maz, but not that shit. Come on, mate.
Anyone who says maybe he'll become good in the future is lying. There's nothing to suggest that this boy, right, is going to be anything in the future. What suggests he's going to be anything in the future? He's not fast. He can't beat a man. He's got no outstanding skills that you can see. He can't really cross a ball. He can't shoot. He's not a finisher. He can't head the ball. The only thing you might say he's half decent, maybe he can whip in across, but even that he's not very good at. Let's be honest. He's not like Porro, is he? So what actually can he do? Nothing. So why is everyone saying, oh, he might be something in the future? Based off what? Lies. Hope.
Okay, can I ask one question before we go on to other players, right? Because I
want to get Dan in. I want to get his view on Ange in the game, but yeah, go on, Michael.
About the players, right? Because we blame the shit out of Ange, right, for everything that's happening with the club. How much of the blame for the performances of players do we put on players themselves, and how much do we put it on?
Well, I don't know. I don't think.
Can I explain what I mean, right? Because I always give the example of Porro, right? I think Porro is a really good player, right? But I think this system has exposed him so much that our fans started turning on the player, right? Even though I don't think it's necessarily the player's fault for what's happening on the pitch, right? I think the player is just doing what he's asked to do, right? So I'm not excusing, right? I think Tell is shit. I think Gray isn't suited for
Michael, I think you've answered your own question, though. Porro's proven that he's good.
Did he?
Tell hasn't. When's Tell proven that he's good?
Well, last season, Porro was one of our best players. He was certainly one of the most
fantastic at Sporting Lisbon.
He was
no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
So anyway, let me finish. I haven't finished on thing, right? To answer your question quickly, Michael, you're right. I've said this point many times. It's very difficult to judge players based on the worst manager we've ever seen at Spurs. More likely, a lot of the players have down tools. They're not doing their best. They've regressed under his coaching, blah, 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 blah. However, what I am going to judge is the players he's brought in because they're his players, right? Odegaard. Why did we buy Odegaard for 30 million quid? Why? He's not better than Mikey Moore. I'd rather play Mikey Moore more, develop the kid. See, let's give him an opportunity to do that rather than see Odegaard who dances around and he doesn't actually beat a man. You know, he looks like he's going to beat a man, and he doesn't beat a man. At least Odegaard scored a few goals. That's more than I can say for Tell, who one goal bounced off him and he didn't realise the ball hit him and it went in the net. Right, and another goal he scored, he nicked it off Johnson, who should have got his hat trick because Tell wanted to get a goal. If I was Johnson, I would have gone and told him to go and fucking do one right there and then on the pitch and socked him in the face for even thinking about coming and getting the ball. This kid from Germany is going to come and take away his hat trick from him. Gray, right? Don't get me wrong. Respect to Gray for going in the defence. He got thrown in at the deep end. I think he done, reasonably well, right? Okay, yeah, right, for that. Right, I'm not going to take that away from him. He done well, all things considered, especially with how many injuries we had. Right, but he's a defensive midfielder. We bought him as a defensive midfielder. If we didn't buy him as a defensive midfielder and we bought him as a right back or centre back, then why the fuck are we sinking 40 million for a player that isn't a defender? Why did we just go out and buy a 40 million pound defender to begin with?
This has been the argument all season, Maz, that I have had about him.
I'm just fed up of people just wanting to defend people because we're nice. You know, let's not downgrade the kid. You know, I don't care about. These are professional footballers. They need to show something. The person I'm really pleased with is Bergvall. Not because I think he's an amazing player, but at least he's got a bit of fight about him. At least he gets around the pitch. At least he shows an odd bit of skill. At least he cares about winning. He's pissed off when something bad happens. You can see it in his face. All these other players, they're just like blank faces, like they, you know, oh, I don't care. Don't fucking. You know, that's what they do. I'm just so. I am annoyed. I still get annoyed when we lose because of how just when you think things can't get any worse, it just constantly gets worse, right? And what's annoying is
every other game, literally.
Yeah. All right, and what's really annoying, right, is we do well in the Europa because everyone decides they want to play football and they stop it. They ignore Ange and don't do his tactics. They do their own tactics, and it suddenly works. They stop inverting and all this sort of stuff. Even Ange said in one of his press conferences, "Oh, the team took it upon themselves to be more pragmatic and defensive."
And the truth will set you free. Thank you.
Go. Right. So,
Bloody hell.
Honest to God, right?
I'm breathing, bruv. I'm keeping it quiet. I'm just looking at my boy Dan. He wants to go.
I just won't accept now anyone, right, saying that they can see something in these players because they're just lying. It's just lies. All of it is lies. I can't see anything in anyone. The only player I can see something in is fucking Bergvall. That's the only player I can see something in. Maybe Kinski in a couple of years because he's, you know, you can see that he's a half decent keeper. I'm not going to blame Kinski. He's just come in.
Look,
right? But everyone else, they just chuck them on the. I agree with Brian. Just chuck them on the fucking skip.
Dan, one second, because Brian needs to go. Let him say what he was saying. Then, I'm
gonna go. Like I said, I won't be about. Probably I've got my surgery tomorrow, so I'll be laying low and recovering. But I will say, guys, don't worry about Tell. Don't worry about Werner. Just wait till next season. We have Dominic Calvert-Lewin here on a free, and we can talk about the greatness that is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But don't worry, he's on a free, so he's going to be the next best striker in the world. Everyone, have a good evening in the chat, wherever you're doing. Stel, love ya. Maz, love ya. Danny, love ya. Michael, love ya. Boxy, love you to bits, brother. Speak to you soon. Leave you out. Ta-da.
Brian, good luck with the surgery. Tottenham on tour down there. Make sure you subscribe. I've got a couple of super chats quickly I've got to do, and it will be Dan. Don't worry, Dan is next. A user says, we will always have issues with protests. The newer generation is results-based, whilst the old school is badge-based. Not a lot of old school can make the protest. A user also says, Levy, board, salary would always be the stumbling block. A user also says, the atmosphere is in the changing room between Thursday and today. Why? Yeah, it's true. There is a different vibe to it. And then Kusi81 says players decide the tactics in Europa, not Angus. What Maz just said. I do want, Dan, before you, I know we want to get into the players. I do as well. But I just want to bring this up. Alistair Gold asked Ange in the press conference, why such contrasting seasons? In the Europa, you're in the final. In the league, 20 losses. It's just so far apart. It's bonkers. This was... it's a shame Brian's not here, actually. This was Ange's reply. All right? Ange said, I'm not going to sit here. It's not exactly Pythagoras' theorem. It's quite simple to understand. We would have had a much better results if we didn't have to navigate this, i.e. the injuries. So either you understand or you don't, and beat us over the head. I'm not happy with the way we performed today. So that's what I look at. I think we could have performed better. And irrespective of the result, you can still lose a game of football. Then he said, and this is the bit, levels wasn't anywhere near where it should be. Levels. That's my responsibility to address. The question is, when is he going to address it? Because he's had 2 years to address it. And he's saying, I need to address it. Levels. It's kind of what Brian was saying, same old, same old. That's why Brian made the levels weather forecast chart. Look, Dan, if there's one thing we do agree on, it's Ange and players, right? We don't argue on that at all. Mate, go for it. What do you make of Ange's comments? It's just surreal at times, isn't it?
His comments, it's just Ange overall. he's a clown as far as I'm concerned, and he's just someone who cannot handle it when he starts getting questioned about his tactics or whatever else, and it's not good. Whereas if you sit there and you talk to him about something nice, he'll be all cushy and sweet. As soon as you question him about something, he gets his knickers in a twist. That's what he does. That's what he's done for 14 months, 15 months, 16 months even. That's what he done when he got questioned about, shouldn't you be changing your zonal marking a bit into like man-to-man marking, because that's how we're getting cooked basically every time. And he went off his head on that. A lot of the time when it comes to a press conference, for me, he just acts like a little bitch. But with that on the game today, I think this is where it's different opinions in that, but I think this is where, again, a few people need to look at reality. Yeah, it's football. Yeah, they should be playing for pride. Yes, they should have the mentality to want it. Yes, they should have. There's a lot of things in life that it should be, but it just ain't. These players, they ain't coached by the manager. They've got no faith in the manager, in my opinion, this one. He's lost more than half of that dressing room, in my opinion. They don't dig the tactics. They don't want to play that way. They know the season is done and dusted. It's irrelevant, basically, whether we finish 15th or 17th to me. Yes, okay, people can say you want to win every game, this and that, but be realistic how some people think. How is a player going to go on there and give it his all when he knows that, say Mikey Moore comes on and for the next 2 games scores 3 goals and then four goals? You know he ain't making that first 11. Danzo has a wicked game, stops about 5 goals going in the bloody... You know he ain't getting picked in front of Romero and Van der Ven. They all know it. Spence was our best player for about 2 months. And quite a few of us turned around and said, but I bet you as soon as Udogie gets better, Spence is off the team. Lo and behold, what happens? So when you look at it from a mentality side, how can you expect these players to even give it 110% when they've already shut up shop? Yes, I know what it should be. It should be about pride. It should be about this. But life just don't work like that. People's heads don't work like that. And the other thing is, most of us are in our 40s. We grew up in a different generation. This generation of people in their 20s are 10 times mentally weaker than people of our age, of what we had to grow up with and deal with. That's all I ever got when it was a problem. Is you becoming a man. Fucking grow up here. Get on with it. These days, it's all, put in the bubble and everything and soften them up, give them a kiss on the cheek when I think some of them need a good slap round the face and tell them to get their act together. But it just don't work like that anymore. Players just ain't mentally strong like they used to be, like they should be. So it's all good saying in 1995 or whatever else and that, the certain players who came out weren't necessarily with the big team would play their all to get into that first 11 for the cup game. But they know they're not getting in there. We know it. They know it. Not unless there's some mega injury on there. We know Ange knows who he wants as his first 11, whether they're playing shit or not. We all know it. The players know it. So, and in that aspect, I think that's just why they just got on there and just didn't even bother today. Because it's got no effect on them, basically, on whatever. They're going to get a bit of stick. Oh, you had a shit game and whatever. Yeah, look at the other 20 we lost as well. With a full team, let alone a second team. And I just honestly think with so much that's gone on, with the lack of coaching, with lack of everything, I just think they shut up shop a long time ago. I mean, for me, the season became pretty irrelevant after Christmas when we didn't sack Ange. I wanted Ange to go so we could win more games and rescue this season to an extent. With a bit of pride. No, as soon as Ange weren't going to go, for me, I don't deny it. I shut up shop. Yep, season's done. Dusted. Ange ain't changing. Ange ain't changing his tactics. We're going to get at least another 8 or 9 defeats, and we are going to be down the bottom half of the table. Lo and behold, look what I said. Look what a lot of us said. Look where we are. That was why, for me, it just became irrelevant, because I knew what was going to happen. These next 2 league games, people talk about momentum. And with this season and Tottenham, momentum to me is bullshit. 100% bullshit. Momentum has nothing to do with these games. If we would have won these next 2 games 10-0, it would have no impact on the final of what happens. If we go and lose the games 10-0, again, it will have no impact on the final, in my opinion. Why? Because when it comes to the final, you will get the players there aren't playing for Ange. They're playing for themselves because they want to win a European trophy. That's the big difference. And yeah, the players should be going out, should be wanting to win, should be doing this. But again, most people just don't work like that. The heads don't work like that anymore. They're too soft. The generation itself. And I think they'd already shut up shop long time ago, before they played a game today. It's just the fact of, even if I give it 1,000,000% today, and if your head and heart ain't with it, I don't know how anyone can give it 100%. If you can, fair play, because I know I can't. They're just thinking, well, I ain't going to get in the team anyway. The season's nearly over. So fuck it, basically. I'm not saying it's the right attitude to have, but it is the attitude a lot of people will have. Because at the end of the day, they are only human. They ain't robots. They might be getting paid 150 grand a week, this and this and this. But a lot of them in the generation, they're still mentally weak compared to what generations were 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And it shows like anything. With the players picked today, I mean, I could have understand if he'd have left 4 out of the team or something, or 5, but he basically changed the whole thing round, which just shows that the game was irrelevant to Ange as well, basically. As all they care about now is that cup final. So I don't necessarily just put it on the players that it's their fault that they just give up, basically. If there's all, like someone says, if there's always a pathway, show me the pathway. Show me the pathway that they've got. Anybody sit here and tell me honestly, if Mikey Moore went and scored 2 hat-tricks in the next 2 games, that they're thinking of getting the final over Son? Honestly. Not what should, honestly. And I think the players know that. The players in the second team know it. Danzo could have had a world-class next 2 games, and you know Romero is getting in over him. You know it. Everybody knows it. There might be 1 or 2 places you can fight for here. But I just think the players gave up a long time ago because they know Angie's first 11. They know the tactics ain't working. They know we're getting screwed game after game. I just think they gave up a long time ago. Whether it's the right way to do it or the wrong way ain't the point for me. It's just, it is what it is. And then if you want to go through the players later, we can go through them on what a waste of money we've had on certain players and how they've been bigged up and everything. And then we can just go on from there. But for me, it was just, the players' heads weren't there and you could see it 100%. And I think there is reasons to it. Yeah, they should have the pride or whatever you want to call it to want to win every game. But just look at the generation. Look at people, like actually how people think. I get that people are saying on here, like, you should play like you care. I get that. That's how I see it. But I'm sorry, mate. That's not how this generation looks at things. Times have changed. This ain't 1995 anymore. This is 2025. People are weaker minded than they ever have been in the world, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, they're footballers as well in their 20s. And it shows.
Do you not think, Dan, that the tactics are part of the problem as well, though? You know, that first half. Would you say that's the biggest factor or not?
I would say, I mean, I've said it from day one. The tactics,
because we're so wide open, aren't we? It's so easy to get into us.
The tactics are so fucking stupid that it's unreal that he only has to do 2 things really to make it 30% better, in my opinion. And that's stop inverting both wing backs and drop back 5 yards or 10 yards at times. But he won't do it. And it's already been said by players on there, no, we only train Angie's way and we only play Angie's way, sort of thing. And if anyone questions it, like I personally think Maddison did, all of a sudden he can't make it for a whole game, or he don't even make it into games when he's probably our best player on the pitch. And it shows. I think that the players, they've just given up with Ange as a whole. The tactics, the situation, everything. They've give up and said, I've had enough. I'm not saying it's right and you should be doing this and that. But then come on, people. You got to think how life works. You got to think how people actually work. If your heart and head ain't 100% with it, I don't see anybody being able to give 100% out there. And their heart and head ain't with Ange for sure. They ain't running through brick walls for him. They wouldn't even run through fucking paper for him. They know they weren't getting in that next team unless there is a major injury there. So why are they going to give it their all at the end of the day? They should, but mentally, why are they gonna?
Tottenham Doc, you say still tactics have got nothing to do with the players not making the runs, but it's got plenty of things to do with the massive acres of space left open for someone to expose. Like Munoz and Eze had a field day because the way we're structured allows large spaces on the field to be exploited. That's everything to do with the tactics. So
The tactics are the whole reason we are in this
I
situation.
get players not busting a gut might have nothing to do with tactics, but there's more to the game than just players not making a run, isn't there? There's a bit more to it than that.
It is the tactics. The tactics have blatantly screwed us for the past 2 seasons now, basically. And the aspect of we concede the same goals every game, basically. Same problems, same issues, everything. We basically repeat after every fucking game. It's the tactics, the mental. I mean, I called him after 7 games, his first 7. You cannot play this way in a big league, Premier League, Spanish League, Italian League, German League. Okay, you can play that way with Paris Saint-Germain and get away with it, or Celtic can get away with it. Yes, you can. But in a big league, I called him after 7 games. These tactics will not work, but I'm pretty sure he'll know how to adapt to certain games. Well, I got that bit wrong. He obviously didn't. His tactics are just, they are not made for this league. I'll repeat one other thing. Go and give him the best defense you can ever think of with the best goalkeeper. I guarantee you they will still concede at least 45, 50 goals. He will never, ever win a big league with these tactics. He might get a top 4, and I said at the start of the season, he's capable of getting a cup. Why? Because a cup you can get through luck. Yeah, we have had this cup through luck to the final. Look who we've had to play. Frankfurt, okay, tricky game. The rest of it, what? AZ? Are you telling me that we should all get excited that we just beat Bodo Glimt? You know, like, come on.
I think it's because
manager should have made through that.
I think it's because in the past we've lost to teams like Ghent, Genk.
No, but Stelos, that's his excuse. Stelos, don't make excuses like that, bro.
I'm not making excuses. No. You're not listening. You don't, Alex. You don't listen.
Yeah, but I'm listening. But you're saying in the past.
No, what I'm saying is, because fans are used to losing to lesser quality opposition, when a manager actually beat teams that we're supposed to, fans see it as a big leap forward. Because in the past, we go out to really crap teams like Colchester, Genk, Ghent, Dinamo Zagreb. So when you do beat one of these teams, it's like, hold on a minute, that's new. We're not used to it.
Yeah, but what did I say at the beginning? What did I say?
I don't agree with that, by the way. I'm just saying that's a whole lot of fans think.
Unfortunately, right. This is where people are losing their mind, and they're putting things in their mind to make themselves feel good, right? When we beat in Frankfurt and we got Bodo Glimt, right? What was their feeling straight away? Would you rather have Lazio or Bodo Glimt? I'm saying you take Bodo Glimt at a heartbeat.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So, and then we're saying we're Tottenham Hotspur, right? So I'm sorry, right? This is where we've just gone completely over the top here, right? Because at the end of the day, and people were having a go at me. This is why I went on with your Tottenham TV to have a go at Sim, because he was having a go. That's why I was having a go at that guy that's got clipped and got 10,000 views. Yeah, because he says he needs to give Ange credit. And I was sitting there saying, no, I'm sorry, you can't give this guy credit, because what is he doing? It's not on him. I'm glad now people are seeing what I said. And it wasn't just Maz that said it. It's Mr. Box Office that said it as well, by the way, that said it wasn't him. It was the players. It was the coaching staff. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm done with this absolute nonsense. You know, and the thing is, though, why are you saying still he needs to keep his job when he's wins the Europa League? He should not keep his job. He should not keep his job, because he's going to do the same thing next season. He's going to do the same thing next season because he thinks this is the right way of playing. And it's not the right way of playing. And the thing is that we're giving him praise for Basuma and bloody Bentancur and Romero and Van der Ven, who are just doing the normal games. They're not playing brilliantly. They're not fantastic. They're just doing normal things. They're doing their normal thing, their standards. They're not getting any better. They're not getting any better at all. I'm sorry.
can I just say, I didn't say that.
And we're treating
didn't
like
say
these
that.
players. We are treating these players like they're Ledley King, and not nowhere near Ledley King. Ledley King didn't train, and he still could put a performance in every single week. So why are we treating these players like they're Ledley King or anything like that? Because I'm not anywhere near these players, bruv. They're nowhere near. So I'm sorry, this nonsense. But the thing is, we're all here when we win this cup, and yes, I will be happy. When you call me out still on We Are Tottenham TV, I wasn't making any sense. Yes, I am going to be happy because I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm a Tottenham fan, not an Ange fan. Don't care about Ange anymore. I'm a Tottenham fan, so I am going to be happy. And yes, I do want to go to bed. I would like to go to Bilbao because I like Tottenham. It's a momentous moment. Forget Tottenham. Forget Daniel Levy. Yeah. It's about Tottenham Hotspur, yeah, and I'm not going to let them ruin my bloody moment, yeah, because it might not ever happen in my lifetime. Tottenham winning in something in Europe, right? So I'm going to take that moment and actually enjoy it. Yes, I will, right? Because that's what life is. You enjoy the moment. I mean, you should know better than saying that to me, bruv. Yeah, I still love you, bro, but you're always gonna get
rattled, Alex? Did I rattle you? Did I get
no, you did not rattle me. You did not rattle me, right? Maz, I've still got some receipts for you, bruv. I've still got receipts for you saying that Burval, please. Don't try that. Don't try that rubbish with me, Burval. Don't tell me that
Don't
rubbish
make me
about
start
Burval.
on you, Alex. Otherwise, we're never going to go.
No, don't start me. No, because Mr. Bots Office don't care anymore. Don't care anymore.
Alex, can I just say one
I
thing?
need to sign off. I just want to say one thing. I need to.
Oh, you want to run away now because
I'm running away. I'm running away. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're running away now. You want to run away now? Okay,
Right.
cool.
I just want to say that Sava done a super chat about Angie's Churchillian rousing.
I was going to get round to them. I'll do it now quickly. Sava says, "Where was the Ange Churchillian speech today?"
That was one of the worst speeches that I'd ever seen in my life in sport. Not that I'm in sport, but you know, when you watch other people do it and outside of sport, like professionally, it was pathetic. And you know what really got me was when he went, "Oh yeah, lads, you know, it's a great moment for you. I've been there, I've done it. I've been there, I've done it." And I'm thinking, you ain't won anything in fucking Europe. What are you talking about? What have you won in Europe? What? He's talking about he's been there and done it in some tin pot league halfway around the fucking world. I mean, like, the guy's a joke. Some of those players who have actually won stuff must be thinking, I'm more decorated than you. Like Romero's probably thinking, I've won a bloody World Cup.
I wanted to say, imagine Romero who won the World Cup.
It's like, who's this clown? Or like Porro, you know, who's won like his domestic leagues and stuff like that. Thinking, who's this clown speaking? Honestly, it's just get him. I just want him gone. Hopefully he wins us the Europa. We can all celebrate. Can all go down the high road, get pissed, and you know, celebrate. Then he can sign off at the end of the season. He can sail into the sunset, and we can just reset.
Maz, have the same energy. I want the same energy when he wins, yeah? Same energy, yeah? None of this like, switching because we got
Don't start, Alex, when you're flip-flopping 2-3 years ago. Right, and now you've come on board, and now you're like you said you invented it.
You start. No, Maz. I want the same energy. The same energy. I don't want this crap
Just
anymore.
Remember that last season you're telling me you don't know what everyone was expected. He told us he was going to do this. Well, I didn't tell. I wanted the fucking title charge, mate, not fucking relegation battle.
I want the same energy when he wins the Europa League. Well, I want the same energy. I don't want to say, "Oh, you're negative and all that."
Alex,
I don't want to see it.
You better be on this channel, mate, so I can talk to you. All right? Don't
run away. I don't hide, bro. Unlike some people, Sean Butler. Anyway, moving on.
Why do you start wars on my channel? Why do you start wars on this channel?
I don't care. I don't care. He don't invite me on his channel, so I don't really care about him. I don't care. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, it's getting worse.
Good night, lads. Good night.
Very quickly, got another super chat I missed here from Kusi81. Put away fans high up behind a net like Real Madrid do. I don't know what that was referenced to, but I know what you mean about away fans being stuck high up in the rafters and whatnot. The Alex, can I just say, for the record, what I did was, if you go and listen to my whole video, I said your takes on Ange and then you going to the parade and going to Bilbao, and that's the bit I didn't make sense of. But then I did say, if you go and listen to the video, I said I totally agree with Alex that Ange plays one way in Europe and another way in the Premier League.
I'll give you that one because I
It's
heard
spot
that.
on for that. The bits
Yeah.
you say I agree with, I say it. The bits I
No,
disagree
no.
with, I say it as well. I'm not.
It's nothing. But this is all football. This is all football. Even Sim.
I know, but you
I'm
got
not-
triggered. You got triggered by me today. I didn't
No.
trigger you, you know, so-
Let's make this clear. This is just football. Even Sim, bless him. He takes it very well. To be fair, I do have a go at him, and he takes it very, very well. To be fair to him, right? So he takes it like a pro. So what? It's all football. It's never nothing that. But
Can I just say, if we don't win the Europa, Sim's the first one I'm coming for. Then it's you, right? Because you've said we're winning it, right? You put your flag in the ground.
Yeah, but
like America landing on the moon.
I do.
Right?
I do think we're winning.
His flag in the moon. You know.
But still, I don't really care. I don't really care because I feel embarrassed anyway. I've always been embarrassed being a Tottenham fan anyway. It's only going to make me feel any more because then he's not the best manager, the most successful manager of our history. So I'm glad about that. That'll be glad. You know what I mean? Because I don't think he deserves it. I do not think he deserves it at all. You know what I mean? So for me, listen, I'm not angry. I just think it's just what happened on Thursday is that I was getting a lot of abuse, and this is why I don't take it from other people. That when they get abused, I get abused, and I have to take it. Right? It's like they were saying, "Why can you not be happy?" And I said, "I can't be happy after a win against Bodo Glimt, which we should be beating, which I said predicted we will be beating." So this is where I had to say something.
Are you happy we're in the final, Alex?
I'm happy, but I predicted that we're going to get to the final.
That's why fans are happy. It's not because we beat Bodo. It's because it guarantees a cup final. I think that's what fans are happy about, isn't it?
I can't be happy about beating someone that I knew that we're going to beat, Bodo Glimt. If it was Lazio, I would say maybe I was. But in the end, everyone was really making themselves worried about it, and I sat there and thought, well, no. The only thing I think the only thing that's annoying me at the moment is that these players seem to always turn up, and it's always the players turning up and performing this pragmatic football in these Europa games, and I just don't understand why this can't be evolved into our Premier League games.
I agree, Alex. I agree 100% with you. 100%. I think we all agree on that here. If you were to ask Dan and Michael, could we be a bit more pragmatic in certain games, not so wide open like a brothel? Yeah, like like it's a happy ending for everyone but us.
Yeah,
I think
then he gets credit.
I think we're all best mates when it comes to that subject, you know.
But then he gets credit. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. I've been waiting and listening very patiently. By the way,
Go for it. It's fine,
but it's just like for me, it's just then he gets credit. We've done it on this channel. We've done it on other channels as well. It's just like, why are we giving a guy credit when he does it only when he's in jeopardy? He only does it when he's in jeopardy, and it's just got to a point where I'm sitting there thinking, he's doing this on purpose. And then he's coming out and then doing little speeches like he did after the Bodo. And I was like, no, this is fake. This is fake as F. Sorry, I don't want to even go there because I don't want to get you demonetized. But it's just like, this is fake as...
It's all right. You've already called out Butler twice. You crack on.
I don't care. I don't care.
Comes on in, goes to Sim.
I don't care. That guy owes me a lot because I helped him out a lot when he started, so I don't care. So as far as I'm concerned, and who stuck with me, by the way, still, you stuck with me, he didn't, so F him. Anyway, moving on. So that's the thing. So like I said, like I said, it's just like I just don't get it. I really don't get it. You know what I mean? So,
Alex, let me ask you a question. I'm going to come to Michael and Dan as well on this, right?
Yeah.
This really bugs me, and I think I argue more about this than anything else, right? We touched on it earlier, right? Matthias Tell, this is what happens, and I always get into these kind of more online people that hide behind keyboards. Mateus Tell. I'm going to talk about Archie Gray as well after, but I want to talk about Tell first, right? Mateus Tell. He was signed. This is my argument. He was signed as a loan deal, no obligation to buy. When you sign a loan, I'm assuming it's to cover a gap in the team and to have an impact now. He's been here for February, March, April, half of May. He's been here for 3.5 months. He's got 2 weeks left and the season ends. What has he done? This is what people say to me. Oh, but look at his work rate. And I say, okay, but what about the end product? Goals, chances created, pulling other players out of position, winning back possession, keeping possession, setting up chances, assists. It's almost like quality crosses into the box. The end product is almost, not quite, but almost non-existent. But look how hard he works. I'm like, I don't give a fuck how hard he works. At the end of the day, Brennan Johnson's a lazy shit, but he's got 17 goals. At least I can say there's an end product with him, and he doesn't really work his ass off. So what do I care about hard work? I want end product. He came here to impact. He's come here for now. What has he done? And then when you say these things back to them, oh, for fuck's sakes, he's only a kid, man. Give him a break. Whether he's a kid, a young adult, or a grown man, he's here to impact the team. Are we judging him on his age, or are we judging on the fact that he's come here to impact now? Where's the impact? What do you guys make of Tell? Because I don't get the argument. If we signed him and he's here for 4 years, I get the argument maybe, look, give it time. Maybe he needs a loan deal. Another manager can get a tune out of him. But he's not here for 4 years. He's literally here for 4 months. And there's 2 weeks left of it. Guys, can you talk to me about Tell? Because for me, I think it's been a shit transfer. But I get told off because he's young.
It's the same story as it is with, you have to say it, but Gray and others. The difference is Bergvall cost, what was it, 8 million, 10 million?
10 million.
Bergvall, 10 million, yeah, 10, 12, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Take the chance. I get it. Take the chance. And he's performed well, and you could say him and Johnson are probably the only two players that are going to be able to walk off that pitch this season with any sort of pride. I mean, Johnson, don't get me wrong, I think he's absolutely awful, but he scores the goals. So you got to give that bit of credit where it's due. For the rest of the game, he just might as well be a ghost. But without those 17 goals, we would probably be in the relegation now. So you got to give that bit of credit where it's due. But I still think he's a shit player. Bergvall, you can actually see he has progressed as a player. There's still a lot more to go to him. And if he gets some proper coaching, I think we actually have a very good potential of a player there. And you can see potential. But then when we go and get people like Tell for 10 million and whatever wages he's on, when we concede the season is in a proper shit street, basically. So what do? We go and sign another kid with lack of experience. No experience, really. Okay, he's played for Munich a few times. Fair play. But then again, you can put one of us in that Munich team and we could still look half decent and probably beat 3/4, like, let's say 90% of that, the squads out there, basically. Not much different in that aspect. He was not what we needed. Archie Gray, 40 million. 40 fucking million. For what? I mean, Anange even then goes and plays him as a right back when he's already got a right back in Spence. The only reason the boy even saw any games this year, really, was down to injuries. Nothing more, nothing less. 40 million, complete waste of money at this moment in time. Now, in 3-4 years' time, he might come great. But at the moment, no, waste of money. Same as Tell. It was not what we needed. We needed, instead of Tell, we needed a player like, and I know we've already had him, but someone like Perisic. Someone who's been there, done it, got the story, got a bit of mental strength in him. Someone who knows how it goes. We just went and bought another kid and hit and hope, basically. And that is all we seem to do, when that is not what we need. I haven't seen nothing special in Tell. Nothing at all. I think Odobert actually looks better on the ball than Tell does. And I ain't saying Odebert's good. It's It's just the way we go about it. And as this fan base, again, we are too sentimental. We are too nice. We are too Spursy. That is one of the big problems at the club. To the point where I'll even take it to that we hang on to players for way too long. And Son, for me, is your prime example. And then people say, oh, you hate it. I don't hate. I'm just a bit more ruthless than some of the other people on here by the look of it. Because if I was the owner at Spurs, I would have seen Son, right, you're on the way down now where you've hit your 30. You're going to start coming down. It's going to happen no matter what. I'm going to sell you away. You still get 60, 70 minutes. Oh, but he's done this and this for us. He's been brilliant. I don't give a fuck. You're not good enough anymore. Baked potato, see you later. Get me the next one in here. Why? Because for me, that's a winning mentality. But now a lot of people will say, oh, but he's done this, he's done that. That's hate. That's disgusting way to talk about him. No, bollocks. He's not good enough anymore. He's got to go. We should have sold him while we could have got money for him and improved the team. I don't support Ange FC. I don't support Son FC. I don't support Romero FC. I support Tottenham. I don't give a fuck about the players. As long as they play well for the team, that's all I care about. And then when they're not good enough, see you later. I don't care whether they're nice or what they've done for us. I really don't. They've done their job. That's what they're there to fucking do. Now you're not good enough for the job. Get out. I get someone who's better for the job. But then people at Spurs, again, are too sentimental and try and live on morals. Like, if you want to put morals to it, yeah, then maybe we should keep Ange if we win the Europa, because he did actually win us the Euro Cup. And morally, maybe we should, give him at least another 6 or 7. Fuck off. He's lost over 20 games this year. He got us into a final that any manager should have walked this team into. I don't give a shit about morals. Fuck the morals. You've had a terrible season. Thank you for the cup. There's your extra £1 million bonus. Now fuck off. But again, too many people, too sentimental.
Michael, what do you make of Tell? You've heard what Dan said. Do you see anything in Tell? There's some fans that say, do you know what? If it was slightly cheaper, 35 million, then it's worth it. My question is, what has he done?
Mate, when we signed him, I've said clearly, like, we signed him 31st of January. I said it back then that for me it's the most useless signing we could have made, because for me, as you put it well yourself, right? When you make loan signings are supposed to impact the team, right? If you don't make an obligation to buy at the end of it, right? If you loan a player for 4 months, this player has to come into the team and impact the team, right? And for me, I personally think if we played Mikey Moore in all these matches that we gave Tell time in, I don't think the impact would have been much different, right? But the difference is with Mikey Moore, you don't pay a 10 million euros, signing or loaning fee or whatever, right? And also Mikey Moore is one of our own, right? He comes from our academy. I have much more patience for Mikey Moore than for Tell, right? So for me, I don't understand why we signed him. I think he's one of the quite many signings that we made under Johan Lang that just don't make sense. Like, it's honestly baffling to me, because you would think that planning a transfer window shouldn't be that big of a job, in my opinion. Just I'm not talking about like planning the calls and the meetings with the the boards of different teams and all that stuff, right? Just getting your targets should be quite a straight thing, right? Because we knew the target should be a forward. We can know we cannot afford to buy them, apparently, right? Assuming that's the true, that we cannot afford a forward, right? We should plan to loan a forward that will impact the team, because we don't think that our forward line is good enough, right? Or if they really wanted to sign a forward or to loan a forward, right, then there should be someone in that bloody boardroom to say, listen, we have this talented kid, Mikey Moore. Why do we not give him a chance instead of loaning Tell? I don't know. Like, for me, this Tell deal is some part of a fuckery with Bayern Munich. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if they have papers on Levy or something like that, but it just doesn't make sense to me why they would loan him. I don't know. I don't think he's turbo shit. Let's call it that, right? I don't think he's as like trash or anything, right? But I don't think there is anything special about him. I watch him play, and there isn't anything that I get excited about, right? And as you said, if we had an obligation to buy at the end of it, right, I would maybe pay more attention to what he does on the pitch. But I just know he will fuck off back to Bayern in a month, right? And I will never see him again in our shirt, right? Or we sign him and we get ripped by Bayern, right? Because apparently Bayern want 50 million euros for him, which I don't know where that price comes from, right? It's ludicrous for me. Like, if we
Michael,
sign,
what does Tell do? What does when you watch him play? What does he do? You say, okay. What does he? What does he do?
nothing, as I said, right? I don't see anything special about him. I
He
think
can't take on a player. He loses possession as soon as it gets physical.
yeah.
His crossing is on almost non-existent at times. Goals, I think he's scored 1 or 2 goals since he's been here the whole time. Assists, I don't know if he's got. I think he got one a couple of weeks ago where he squared it across.
I think he has like 3 goals because he scored against Villa. He scored the
The
penalty,
FA Cup, which we lost,
and he scored the goal where it bounced off him, right? So that's 3 goals, and I
and a
think he has
penalty. And a penalty.
so he has 3 goals and like 2 assists or something, right? Which, listen, as I said, if he was our player,
And he's an attacking forward.
yeah,
He's an
but
attacking forward.
if he was our player for the next 4 years, I would have more patience with it, right? But as you said, a lone player is supposed to impact the team, right? Villa loaned fucking Asensio and Rashford, right? And Rashford has scored like 6 goals and assisted 5, and Asensio has like 9 goals or something, right?
Michael, look at this. Here's a thought, Stel. Big up, Sava. The Tell loan deal is £10 million. That's more than Aston Villa's midfield. McGinn was 2.5 million. Kamara and Tielemans were frees. Aston Villa's midfield cost £7.5 million less than the Tell loan.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
insane. That's insane.
Because they signed them on a free, right? It's like I get what Sava is trying to say, right? But it's like
The point is, look at the scouting compared to us.
yeah, like, as I said, he's part of a big bunch of signings under Johan Lang that don't make any sense for you, right? Like, I think Danso was a good signing in my opinion. I think he's
had an impact. Yeah,
he's
had an
had
impact.
an
I agree.
impact, right? This is what you want in a January window, right? And for the love of me, I could find a loany player probably for us that would make more impact than Tell, right? So I just don't understand it. And with Gray quickly, right? Like, I don't know what to think about Gray, right? Because when I watch him with the ball at his feet, right, there were plenty of times where I actually thought that you aren't bad, right? I thought that there were some games where he was just like playing as a center back and dribbling past the striker that tried to press him and laying the ball off into the midfield, right? Or when he was like, I think with the ball at his feet, he isn't bad, right?
Michael, let me ask you a question.
Can I quickly,
Archie Gray.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this because I think it will help you
go
answer
on,
it.
go on.
Archie Gray, is he ready to play as a week in, week out centre midfielder in the Premier League? That's the question.
No.
That's what I think as well. I agree.
Yeah, it's because what I wanted to say, right, is that I see like bits and pieces.
Dan's
here and
loving this
there.
one.
Yeah. No, I see bits and pieces where I watch him and I'm like, okay, like you can be a player, right? Because you are comfortable with the ball at your feet, right? But defending wise, you are trash, right? And this is also partially comes back to my statement from earlier, right? How much of it I put on Gray and his skill set, and how much of it I put on the system where he plays in the midfield as a lone 6 and gets ripped apart because he has no cover and he doesn't know what spaces he's supposed to take on the pitch, right? So I don't know how to judge the player because I think skill-wise he isn't bad, right? I think his passing is quite okay. I think he's carrying the ball, he's quite okay at it. Not anything special, right? Not anything special, but
He's just not ready for the Premier League.
Yeah, he's just not ready for the Premier League. But
as a midfielder.
But I don't want to give up on him, right? I'm not in a boat where I should say that we should sell him or whatever, right? Or just he should never play for the team or anything like that, right? But again, but again, judging players under this manager,
Michael,
and
we
his
paid
system,
£40 million
yeah,
for it.
I know.
40
This
million
is a stupidity. I'm ignoring that, right? Because we already paid that, right? So I cannot do anything about it, right? He is our player, and we have to deal with it, right? So I'm looking at it from the point of view like, what can we do with a player, right? I don't think he's bad. But I also don't want to judge him as harshly as I should under this manager and his system. If you get what I mean, right? Like, and I'm doing this with many other players, right? I think if we had a proper coach with a proper system, some of these players would perform much better than they do right now, right? So
I agree.
like Bissouma and Bentancur, I'm not particularly fast about their performances this season, right? But I don't think they are as bad as what they have shown us this season in some of these matches, right? When like Bissouma was playing lone six, where he's never a six, right? And we put him as six and tell him to put three fires at one time, and he just cannot do it, right? Is it his fault necessarily? Like, I'm not sure, right? Like, he's running 90 minutes straight, and he's also out of position, and the tactics are shit, and the whole defensive setup is shit, right? So how much of it is on Bissouma and how much of it is on the system and the tactics, right? And I have the same feeling with Gray. Like, I don't think skill-wise, like when I watch him with his skill, I don't think he's bad.
Can I ask you a question again?
Yeah,
One more
yeah.
question. I'll get the other guys in. You see Kinski, he came in on loan. Sorry, we bought him.
Yeah, we bought him. Yeah.
He's a young player we signed. He was in goal today. I saw him make 2 or 3 really, really good saves, especially a couple one-on-one. And I thought his distribution in general was very, very good today. There's 1 or 2 moments where I thought, oh my fucking God. Okay, but that's normal. But I thought overall his distribution was good. The system doesn't affect him.
Yeah, but he's a goalkeeper, right?
Yeah, but
I would say it's a bit different.
My point is though, he has to play out. But what I'm saying, let me reframe that. In this system, you got to play out from the back.
Yeah.
He's got the technical ability to do it. He's got the skill set to do it.
He looks better than Vicario at doing it, basically.
Yeah, but I would say that Gray
has Archie Gray got the skill set to play as a midfielder where you need to know everything going on around you, and before the ball comes to you, you need to know what your next move is, what direction and to whom. Because when you play midfield, it's a very different role, because when you're in goal, you see the whole pitch.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Like,
when you're in midfield, you've got to see
right?
back. Yeah, it's a different role. Maybe Archie Gray did okay as a centre-back because he can see the pitch. Once you step into that midfield, the way you operate is different. Is he ready for that at this level?
No. Right now he's not.
So
right?
is it the system then, or is it, you know what, this boy's not a Premier League midfielder just yet? Because that's what I'm thinking. I watched him today and I thought, you know what, I get you're playing in a weakened side. I get it. But then I look at Danzo and I think, you just get it. Like, he gets it.
So maybe when he played as a centre back or a right back, right, and he had the pitch in front of him instead of just having to pay attention 360 right around him, when he had the pitch in front of him, I think what he has shown me with the ball at his feet and his passing in that scenario, I think he was good at it, right? So I hope that a good coach could take that and mold him into a midfielder, right, in the Premier League. But I don't think he's ready now, right? Because we are under Ange and under his tactical setup, where I just think that throwing him in, he isn't good enough yet, in my opinion. But what he has shown me as a centre back, but I'm talking purely the ball at his feet, right? I'm not talking about the defending, because I think he's shit at defending, right? Like as a centre back, as a right back. But what he has shown me as a centre back with the ball at his feet, I think you can mold that into a midfielder if you give him experience and teach him how to do it, right? But that's just hope and pray. It's not now, right? It's not now, and probably not next season. So I would probably loan him out next season under the next manager, right?
Yeah, it's passing. I'm sorry, but great. His passing is absolutely terrible as well. He can't even pass. He can just about pass 2 yards, let alone 10. He seems to always get it wrong when it comes to a proper pass, not just a man next to him or 2 yards in front of him. He's not. I'm sorry, but he has done
fair
nothing.
enough.
Nothing.
Dan, do you know his
show me
passing
he's the
stats are
40
very,
million
very
player.
good, though. We had this argument about months ago. His stats are very good for passing,
Yeah,
believe it
but
or
if
not.
me
I
and
know
you
it's,
stand next to each other and pass 2 yards here and
no,
there, we can
I'm
have an
talking
excellent
progressive.
passing
I'm talking
thing as
progressive
well.
pass. Forward
I've not-
passes between 15 to 30 meters, 30 to 45. He's actually quite good. He's actually a good. I know.
They're not in
The
the
stats
games
tell a
I've
very
seen
different
him.
story. I know.
I mean, today I see 3 or 4 passes of him where he tried passing it forward. He tried passing it up the bloody wing to who was on the right.
I saw that one up the wing.
And there was
He
2
went off the
players
pitch.
standing right in front of him.
Yeah,
And then another pass he tried doing it, he basically screwed it and it went sideways off the pitch. I do not think this player is ready in any means
I
or
agree.
manner
I agree.
for the
I
Premier
agree.
League.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he
I
hasn't
agree
got
with that, and-
potential,
okay.
but he hasn't even done anything to show me potential. Now, the bit where people show him slack is because of his age, again. And then we get to the sentimental side of it as well. If you're good enough for that first 11, you're going to get judged like the first 11 as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but he's not
Certain mistakes, I can let go on experience because experience counts for a lot, yeah? But he's blatantly not good enough. In defence and right back, he was crap. But because he's not meant to be a defender and he is only 18, he gets that extra bit of crap turns into he was okay as such, if you get what I mean. Whereas if that would have been a player that was meant to play there, he would have been told, mate, that was a shit game. That was bad. But he gets the leeway for that. I get that. And he has, like with what says, he has shown a bit of resilience in being able to just do it as such when he's been slammed in it. It's been terrible the way he's been treated, like the way he got dropped in against Liverpool. But then he's playing against Palace today. He should have a better game. And again, he doesn't. I haven't seen nothing of him to justify that 40 million in any means or manner.
I agree with that, Dan. I was analyzing it from a point of view that we already paid it, right? Like I cannot impact the fact that we already have him as a player. So I'm trying to like look at him from the point of view, what can we do with him to actually make that 40 million worth in any
He's got to go on loan, in my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion,
got to loan him.
He has to go on loan, right, next season, especially if we don't get Europe, right? If we don't get Europe, if we lose that fucking final,
If we
right?
get Europe, do we keep him? Because we might need the players to rotate. I'm just asking. I'm not saying.
Then
we should.
I would consider, depending on the window, right? If
Well,
we
actually,
sign
it'll be Champions League. I doubt. Actually, he won't play Champions League. No.
But
yeah,
then-
yeah.
No, but then we
then
might
they
need
need
him
to play-
being an English player.
yeah, and also he might then play in the league, like maybe
Well,
against.
let's
Yeah.
let's base it on him as a footballer, not the
Yeah.
rules that we have to follow, like English
Yeah, but
quota. Like, as a
the-
footballer, would we keep him for one next season?
No.
For me, that depends on the window, right? If we signed like 2 midfielders, then no, I would loan him out anyways, right? But knowing this club, we will sign like 1 midfielder at best, then we will need numbers, right? But then again, is just sampling his development, right? I don't know, like the way I'm talking like that, as I said, is the fact that we already paid the money, right? So I kind of have to make use of him, right? I do the same thing with like Solanke and Richarlison, right? I hate the fact that we bought them, but we bought them, so I kind of want to, find a way to make use of them, right? Like Richarlison is a shit player. I said it like when we signed him that it's going to be a shit signing and he's going
He was
to end up
awful
like
against
Melon.
Bodo. Absolutely, that second leg. He
Well,
was dog shit.
for them is all awful anyway.
Yeah,
Against
It
Frank.
was.
Oh, go on, Michael.
was.
Yeah, go on, Michael.
Also like, can I just say one thing? And I don't know how exactly to put it, right? But I've seen also, like, I've seen something in the group chats and all that stuff that people really like, started harping on to Gray. Like, I feel like, again, like his performances are not great, and I understand the criticism, but I've seen a lot of people saying just he's rubbish, he's shit, he's that, right? I get it, he's not good enough, but I don't know. I just feel like when we have such many issues, like focusing on him exactly, I don't know what it's supposed to like accomplish, right? Like I think there are plenty of senior players in that team that deserve more blame than Archie Gray, right? And there is a manager that deserves more blame than Archie Gray, and there is a tactical setup that deserves more blamed on Archie Gray, right? So I get that we should like focus on his weaknesses if he has those weaknesses, right? And highlight them and talk about them. But I don't know. I just feel like he's getting too much shit for.
No, Michael, can I take? Hold on. Can I say the reason I specifically mentioned Archie Gray, Alex? I want to get your take on Archie Gray and Tell. The reason I specifically mentioned Gray and Tell is because when I look at WhatsApp groups and YouTube shows, these two players divide fans the most. I think most fans, and Son's another one, but he came on for a little bit today. But Gray and Tell really divide fans a lot. I think partly because Tell came in as this amazing Barca player, Bayern Munich player, who we're trying to understand how. And Gray, it's the price tag. Alex, what do you make of Tell and Gray? You heard what Dan said. You heard what Michael said. You've kind of heard my take on it. What would you make of them two?
I think, unfortunately, they're backups. And do you know what I feel about backups? I don't see the point of backups, because if you want backups, go and get Harry Winks back. Go and get Bergwijn back. Go and get Lucas Moura back. That I didn't want at the club. But why not? I want those players back right now. Sorry. Fernandez. Remember Fernandez? You know Fernandez?
The wrong Bruno. When we signed the other Bruno. Yeah. The wrong Fernandez, I remember.
I'm repeating myself again. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm repeating myself again. But this is what we do as Tottenham fans. We need to repeat again. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's just like, I'm sorry. I think we're just going around in circles here, like trying to make this an interesting conversation. It's not really an interesting conversation because let's be honest here, it's the same old thing. Backups. Don't do backups. You know what I mean? Because what happens with backups? The first team become very comfortable, and that's what happens right now. Sorry, don't know what else to say. I don't really know what the fuss is all about, really, to be honest with you. And the fact that we're now having this discussion about, should we keep them or we need to keep them in the squad? When we win Champions League, when we win Europa League, right, and we get Champions League, I'm sorry, bye-bye. Go on loan to get your apprenticeship. I'm sorry, go and get your apprenticeship, because as far as I'm concerned, we ain't got time for backups and being nice or conservative or whatever. It's like, sorry, you got to make yourself known now. I don't care if you're 18 years old or whatever. If you're in the squad, you're good enough. That's what top teams do. Yeah. I look at a player like Elliott for Liverpool, right? He's just won the championship. You know what's going to happen to him? He's going to get sold. He's going to get sold because he knows that he can't get into the team. Because sentiment don't do anything for top clubs. Top teams don't do that. They say, bye-bye, see you later, do your apprenticeship. And that's what Elanga did. And look what happened at Nottingham Forest. You know what I mean? So this is the thing. We're too nice. We're too nice.
Yeah, we're too sentimental at the club.
Like I say, I think people need to know what life is all about, because unfortunately life is not very easy right now. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, people start saying football's different. No, it's not different. It's that when you really have to see when life is hard. You know what I mean? Go and ask some people, but actually you have to work every single day. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's all I've got to say.
Go on, Dan, make your point. That I think a lot of people just don't realize is whether it's football, whether it's just life as a whole, whatever. People might say I've got the wrong attitude. It's a dog eat dog world. Simple as that. If you ain't good enough, you ain't getting in my team. Simple as that. I don't care if you're 18 or 17 or whatever. Okay, you need experience. I'll put you on loan. But if you ain't good enough, I sell you. You're gone. It's dog eat dog. You do not get to the top through being nice. You don't do it. It can't be done. You have to do, basically, especially in football, you have to basically do what Jose Mourinho said. And that's what he wants a team to see you next Tuesdays. That's
what Alexander Arnold's doing. Look what Alexander Arnold's doing. And he's just won the championship.
That is how you get to the top. You don't do it through being nice. And again, this fan base as a whole is too sentimental. And
to be fair, he's won everything at Liverpool, though, isn't it? European
I know, but look what's happened.
Leagues, FA Cups, right now. He's won the lot. Super Cup.
He's getting boozed by his own fans, and look what he's won.
Because they're gutted he's leaving. They're gutted he's
They're
leaving.
leaving, but he's
For
doing
free.
it for his own thing,
For
for
free.
free,
Yeah.
for free.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
he's saying to himself, "Sorry, but I'm going to Real Madrid. Sorry, bye-bye. See you later."
But then looking at it on the other side quickly,
He's won, but he's won everything.
To Liverpool too.
No,
He's
no,
won the
I know.
Exactly.
But this is
if
what I'm saying.
He hadn't signed a contract last year. They should have sold him. That's down
Yeah.
to Liverpool's problem,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
Same as with Romero. If he's not going to sign the contract or whatever, gone. See you later. I want to get money for you, because at the end of the day, that's all you're worth now to me, money. So I can get a better player in, or an established player in that position. Like I said, I do not care about the players or their feelings or their emotions. I couldn't care less. As long as they play properly for the team, that's all I care. The minute you're not with it or you're not good enough, I don't care how good you've been for us, or I don't care how young you are or whatever. You're out. You're gone. That's business. And football is a business in two ways. You do not get to the top through being nice. Again, it is a dog-eat-dog world. But at Spurs, we are too accepting and too sentimental.
We've got so many people that are business guys, yeah, and they're giving excuses, yeah. So many excuses that are Spurs fans, and they're giving excuses right now. But if they were if they were talking about their business, you know they'll be ruthless. You know they'll be ruthless. You know what I mean? So then that's why I know they're being hypocrites, most of them. Yeah.
But
you know
the
what I
other
mean?
one is, Alex, is again, we go back to on Gray on that one hotel, yeah? Very split down the fan base. I know that, yeah? But again, if Arsenal would have done that, or Man U would have done that, or whatever, we'd all be ripping into them for it.
Arsenal signing Zubamendi. They're signing Zubamendi.
I know, but I'm saying is, if they would
Signed
have
Declan
got the
Rice.
players like that, and it would have just gone tits up like it has, we would have ripped into them as Spurs fans in general. But no, when it comes over to Spurs, it's like it almost gets political, like that lovely lady out there who's only a 2-star but thinks she's a 10-star and can get a 10-star man. And that is basically what we do. We make a 2-star player a 10-star player when he really isn't. But as soon as it would be at another club, we'd rip the shit out of it.
Dan, do you know what we do at Spurs, right? I've sussed this out. We signed a group of players, 10, 12 players, right? It goes wrong. And then we say, we need to clear the deadwood. And I say, who's the deadwood? And they mention all the players that they praised that we signed. I said, but hold on. When we signed them, you said, give it a chance. They're going to come good. Different man. All these things. I said, now you're calling it the deadwood. They did the same with Emerson Royale. Oh, but he's ex-Barca. Paratici's cooking. 2 years later, he's called Deadwood. Right? This is what we do. I guarantee you, a new manager, whether it's the next one or the one after the next one, in the next 2-3 years, we need a clean out. And the players we're talking about now that we're arguing over, they're going to be the clean out. We do this every single cycle. It's almost as if we're not allowed as Spurs fans to say we've made a shit signing. It's almost as if Spurs is the only club in England that doesn't make crap signings, but yet we always need to clear the deadwood. Well, surely the deadwood are the crap signings you made. This is the bit I've never understood with us. And it's unbelievable. The same people defending Tell, the same people in 2 years' time will say clear the deadwood, get rid of Tell.
I don't think it's going to change if we win the Champions League.
What's the Lanky here, they'll say.
But still, tell me that is this going to change if we get Champions League? Because I don't think it's changing. I don't think it's changing.
You know my thoughts on this, Alex. I don't until we have a proper scouting, recruitment, pay structure change, all these things. I think we're going to be taking punts. Some will land, some won't. Some will be actually not bad. Some will be disasters, and it will never quite click. There is one player I do want to ask you guys about. Last one of the night. This guy here.
He was
now,
superb.
We were going to sign him, allegedly, according to all the journalists that got it horrifically wrong, who all hate me because I said to them, but you said it, we're signing them. What happened? I thought you got these credible sources. And, he's in the box office. He's come to the corporate offices, the corporate boxes. The agents are speaking with, all the bullshit they tell us in the summer. We didn't sign him. And then as the season started and Crystal Palace got off to a bad start under Glasner, so many fans came for me and they were saying to me, oh, how's your boy Eze doing now? This is the guy. There's a reason Spurs turned him down. We know what we're doing. Lange is the man. I said, oh, okay. Now Palace are above us in an FA Cup final with far less resources. Eze today, I thought he ran the show. Everything was going through him. Him
I
and
think that's.
Munoz
that's
out wide. I thought Richards, the centre back that pushed up, he had a decent game, just pinging it left and right. But Eze, some of the through balls he was playing, he scored 2 goals. I mean,
I think the credit needs to be for the manager. Because I think he at the beginning of the season, I think he struggled a little bit because of the Elise left, but I think the manager's adapted it and really got the best out of him, and he's got the best out of the forward player, Mateta as well, and I think he's just. And Lacroix, oh my gosh, like they should
look
have
at
had
their
3
wing
goals.
back, Alex. Their wing back,
I know,
Munoz, Richards, and Guay.
I know.
There's quite a few good players in the team all of a sudden.
Proper defender.
Saar was causing us all sorts of problems today.
People are making
got
jokes
the wrong
about
Saar.
have we got the wrong side? Yeah, Dan, you just said it. You just
Another
said
one.
it.
We've got the wrong Fernandez, the wrong Saar.
But
Got
it's just
the
I
wrong
think
football club now.
the mentality from this manager after they got to the final was we're gonna play a full team because we need to keep on form. Yeah. And that mentality was just shown in the team today, Crystal Palace. Honestly, it was a joy to watch the way that they just passed it round. And yeah, they did make a few mistakes because we pressed, but we always press. And I think this is where, because I just watched the highlights of the Man United game, and I think that's where we can get some joy at against Man United in the final. But it's just the way that it was just very well meticulously done, and they should have got more goals. They were very unlucky with the goals that were chalked off, especially the first goal. That was very, very unlucky, that offside. I've got to be honest. I mean, factually it was offside, but it was really good.
The point is, Alex, they were cutting us open and getting the ball in the back.
I'm waffling right now. I'm waffling. Sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. The offsides were unlucky, but they were ripping us. They were absolutely ripping us.
I thought Eze was just absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And it would have been very. This is why I can't go to games anymore. It would have been very much. I'd be mesmerized by him and not the team. I just get really frustrated. I can't with this team anymore. Yeah.
The other thing is, did he even honestly look like he got out of second gear? Not to me.
He had so much space. He had so much space.
Exactly. As all Palace did today, I didn't think Palace would come in and give it their all, basically, because they have got a very important game coming. They didn't. They didn't even get out of second gear, and we was.
They played a fully strength team, though. Then they played a strong team.
No, I didn't say that. I said
Except
I don't
for
think
Ward. I think Ward was missing, wasn't he?
I know that, but I still don't think the players would have gone in for certain tackles that they would have gone in the middle of the season because of the next game they've got. Yeah.
Well, our lot didn't. That's for sure.
I know our lot don't. But I'm just saying, I personally don't think Crystal Palace would have given it 110% today. But they didn't have to. They didn't even get out of second gear. It's the system. It is the tactics. And it is the same problems over and over again. Eze is a player that I proper wanted, and quite a few of us wanted on here. And another player I wanted us to go for as well, because he was blatantly on the market. It was made clear as day. Locatelli. Oh, all of a sudden, Locatelli's not good enough for Spurs. Eze ain't good enough for Spurs. He don't suit Angie's system. And then we go back to the 2 names again. Oh, but why do we need them? Because Gray and Bergvall, we've got them, so we don't need to sign other midfielders. And because the manager says it, people like Locatelli and Eze all of a sudden aren't good enough because we just got Gray and Bergvall. And that is exactly what happened.
Michael, right? Is it the system, or is Eze just a quality player, or is it both? And the reason I say this is, people. When I went on Tottenham TV today, I get the usual trolls that can't handle me being on there, just ripping me a new one in the comments. And one of them said, "Oh, pipe down, Stel, rein your neck in, mate. We played a weakened team. What the fuck did you expect?" So I went in the chat and I said, we played a full strength team when we went to their ground and they hadn't won a game all season. What neck am I reining in here? At their ground, we got bullied, right? And we lost 1-0.
Yep.
Is it the tactics? Is it the play?
And they hadn't won a game yet either, had they?
That was their first win against us.
Yeah.
And Eze, is it the manager? Is it the players? Is it a bit of both? What do you think, Michael?
I think a bit of both. I think Glasner found a way to utilize his front three in a perfect way. Because if you look at it, he plays like Sar and Eze play kind of like advanced tens, I would call them. And I think that there were times where Eze was really struggling when he was put on the left, and even England does it, right? Southgate tried to did it with him, where he was playing him basically as a left winger, and this is not Eze's game, right? Like Eze prefers to be close to the box. Something, by the way, I think we should do. Something I think we should do with Maddison, where we completely misutilize Maddison, is where we try to play him as a deep lying playmaker or play him to the left, whereas I think we should play him more centrally. So I think he's a quality player, but I also think it's the system. I think Glasner seriously unlocked Eze and allowed him to flourish in that system. Listen, mate, I think he's a fucking quality player, Eze, and I am so gutted we missed out on him, right? Or we didn't even pursue him, which beats me to it why we did that, but like, yeah.
I think
Can I say? I'm actually glad he didn't come to Tottenham, because I think you'll ruin him as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a different thing, Alex. Good point, but
I'm just being honest. I'm being honest with you. Big up Sava, by the way, football heritage every single time. But
yeah, guys, check out Sava's channel very quickly. Links down there. Make sure you follow Sava tomorrow at 10 a.m. on his channel. Does his morning shows. Go join him, and whoever else jumps on the show. Yeah, sorry, Alex, go for it, bro.
no,
Sorry.
I just think he'll ruin him. I think he'll absolutely ruin him, like he's done Kulu. I know Kulu. I don't rate Kulu as everybody makes him out to be, but like I just think he will absolutely ruin him. I think Glasner's done.
Alex, can I ask you about Kulu? Can I ask you about Kulu?
Yeah, go on.
Right, when he went off injured today, a lot of fans saying, "Shit, Kulu's injured. Fuck, he's out." Da 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 da. And part of me says, you know what? If we're playing Man United, Kulu's physical. We need something physical in the midfield when we take on Man United. But the other part of me said, do you know what? He's been shit since he's come back. Is it really a big miss if he's injured? So if Kulu was fit, would you play him in that final, Alex? Because everyone's concern when he went off injured was, shit, now who's going to play in the final? Because we've got Bergvall, Maddison out. So would you play Kulu in the final or not?
I'm just looking at the midfield we've got at the moment, and unfortunately, I think we have to play him, because I think with now Bergvall out, and I'm not saying Bergvall's any great, best player we've got. You know what I mean? I think he's just been performing to a standard where I think you have to play him, really, because I think there's no creativity otherwise, isn't there? I mean, you're not going to get it from. I think the only one that you could try and make the best out of would be Alderbear, because he has got something about him, Alderbear. My problem.
Would you start Kudu? Would you start him in the final?
Yeah, I think you have to, because I don't see who you could play instead of him at the moment. In that,
is this as the number 10 you'd start him?
Yeah, number 10, yeah. Because I don't know who else you could do it. Because I don't think Alderbear could do it. Certainly, Tell can't do it. So then you're really struggling at the moment, aren't you? Really, you know what I mean? So, and then there was Bergvall, but Bergvall's obviously injured. Like my problem with Kulu, I think when people were waxing lyrical about him, right? I said that he looked like, he's playing like he was playing at Parma, back at Parma. And I think since then, he's had a few all right games, good games. He's had the good game, really good game where he's put a good through pass, or he scored that crucial goal and stuff. But since he's used up all his energy, you just see why Maddison's more highly rated than him. You know what I mean? For me, I think Madison's more cleverer, and I think he's just shown that he's just a busy player for me. And since he's come back from injury, you can see, you know, what I mean, it's all about his energy, and that's it. And when he hasn't got the energy, he's not really as good as what people are saying. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Because, and I think that's where my problem is with him at the end of the day. I've
uh,
never really. Yeah, go on, Mikael.
Sorry, Alex. I just wanted to say that I think Tricky put it best, right? I wouldn't be mad that Kulu is missing, if he is missing, by the way, because Ange said today that it was mostly a knock, right? So he might be available for later, right? But I think it's the best way to put it, right? He will be a big miss if he doesn't play, because Madison and Bergwall are out, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Because now we don't have a number, anyone close to a number 10, right? Because now what are we supposed to do in that midfield part, right? Like,
Right.
we will put Bentancur and Bissouma will play there, but who is the third one?
But
Like, do we want
that's what
to see Mikey
exactly what I
Walsh or
said.
something, right?
So with that, that's where you need a manager to adapt to what he's got.
Yeah.
So you put Kulu in the number
Yeah.
10, but he's not a playmaker. He's an attacking midfield central, or he's a shadow striker. So you use him as that. And then we have to do what we did with Bodo, basically, and come further down for the playmaking, i.e. Bentancur and Porro. Now, I'm not saying they're great at it, but it's the only options we really got. So if you have Kulu up there in the middle, charging for, like, getting forward just behind Solanke, get some long balls in off of Porro, or some pretty decent direct balls off of Bentancur, because he's about the only other one we got in midfield that can pass. Maybe we can make something out of him. But if we put him there to be the playmaker, it's not happening. He's not a playmaker. We haven't got another number 10, like, with the imagination, with the view of the football or whatever, like Madison. So if we haven't got it, this is, again, what I feel a good manager does, and adapts certain bits to the game.
Do you know what I would do in the final, guys? I've thought about this, especially with certain players out and trying to think who can actually turn up in a final. For me, I think this is exactly what I would do. I'd go to a back three, Romero on the right, Van der Ven on the left, Danzo in the middle, Vicario in goal.
Yeah,
I would start Adogi because of his physical ability, and I would start Porro as attacking fullbacks, and they can push because we've got three at the back. And then instead of a 6, I'd put 2 holding mids. I'd put Bentancur and Bissouma in front of the back 3. And then I wouldn't play with 3 across the top. I'll play with 2 strikers, Solanke and Brennan Johnson, or Son and Johnson. And then behind them, I'd put Odebert as a false 9. I think that's the way to get about Man United without Maddison, without Bergvall. And because our strength is we've got better defenders if set up properly and fullbacks than Man United. In my view, we're better. And Vicario is better than that fucking donkey Onana at shot stopping. So if we play to that strength and then slightly push higher up with the fullbacks, don't play with 3 across the top, because Johnson as a wide player for me is shit. But as a striker, that's what he did in Nottingham Forest. He's got a couple of tap-ins in him. He'll be at the right place. So I think that's what I would do in this final. But I know Andrew won't do that. Yeah, I know he's not going to do that.
I think he'll put a surprise in, to be honest, because I know because it is so much on that.
Yeah, he'll start fucking Star and Grey in the middle. That's the surprise.
No. I think he'll do it. I think he'll do it because I think he'll know. Because the thing is, though, anybody who's got anything of their soul, right, have been watching Porro the last how many weeks, right, can see that he creates for us all the time. He's dangerous. He's dangerous as a what is it?
Attacking fullback.
Attacking fullback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, wing back, fullback, same shit.
Wing back. That's it. Yeah.
But we invert him to a number 10, basically.
That's the thing. That's the problem I have with it. And even
back
today,
to the tactics.
This is I totally agree with you, Dan. But we're repeating ourselves again, like we're repeat again. But the point I'm saying is that if he can't see this is the thing. And I do think he'll be a surprise because it's so much on that game, right? And with Man United doing the same thing, trying to play wing backs as well, I think it's only way that it's going to do it for me. You know what I mean? So, and because Poro is so good at creating stuff, and because we've got no creativity at the moment because of no Maddison and no Burval, I think that's the only option he's got. The only option he's got. I play Danzo and Van der Ven and Romero. That's what I would do.
Yeah, but guys, how much of a risk is it to play a tactic that you haven't trained for or haven't played with? Because I agree with you. I think the most logical thing would be what Stelios explained, right? But we haven't played like that ever, right? So, players are used to being in certain positions, right? Players are used to doing certain things on the pitch, right? When they play the same system for a long time. So, how big of a risk is it, right? Because if it works, it's a fucking master stroke or whatever, right? But there is a high possibility that it doesn't, right? And the players just don't find a place on the pitch and get ripped apart, right? And then Ansis Dambas for doing that, right? So how big of a risk is that, right? Because I don't know, I think he will play a back four like he does so far, which will be, we know what back four and the goalkeeper will play. I think he will play Bentancur and Bissouma as like that double pivot thing that he's been doing recently in Europe. I just hope and pray that actually Kulusevski is all right, because Ange has played Sar in the number 10 plenty of times this season.
God, no,
and that's not a fucking, I would rather see Mikey Moore or a kid from an academy do that.
Bentancur would be better.
Yeah, or Bentancur there and just put Sar as a double pivot or something, right? Or even Bissouma up, whatever. Just don't put Sar as a 10. I don't know where this idea came from. I think it's completely rubbish, right? But yeah, if I just fear if we changed a tactic to a back five, I don't know, with how he sets up the team, I think they wouldn't know what to do.
You know what, Michael, you're absolutely right. To be honest with you, don't get used to it though. But I do think you're out actually. To be honest with you, I think you're absolutely right.
Don't get used to it, Michael.
I want. Don't worry.
No. The way you're saying it, yeah, it is a bit of a risk, but I just think that the team needs it really, and I do think you need to make the most of Poro's creativity, because I think it's clear now that he's got the creativity to get across in the box, and yeah, I think that's where our creativity will be. And I do think it's appealing what Stelios' formation is, because you're getting the best out of Johnson, for goodness sake.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean? And Johnson for me is a goal scorer. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's proven it. And Man United will give you chances. They will give you chances, especially the goalkeeper. And you saw it against West Ham today in the highlights. They're making mistakes still. So, you know what I mean? So they've got a mistake in them. And I think that's going to be crucial in a game that is not going to have a lot of chance. Well, it's going to be very edgy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that this is why I think it would be sensible to do what Stelios says. But I do take your point, though, Mikel.
The thing is, if he's a winner, and I always win trophies in my second season, right? There's no excuses if he loses this final. None. Because in 1999, I think, how old was I? Fucking hell, 89, 99. I think I was 20. I was 20 years old. I watched Alex Ferguson take Man United to a Champions League final against one of the best Bayern Munich teams I've seen. He had no Robbie Keane and no Paul Scholes. His two best centre mids both suspended. And he played Ronnie Johnson at centre-back. Everyone said Bayern are going to do this. Fergie pulled it out the bag. So if you're this big, I always win, you know what? No excuses, man. When you go and play Man United, injuries or not, do it, because I've seen teams that have had the same issues going into finals up against it, and they've pulled it out the bag. So I just think a 3-5-2 is the best thing given what we've got at the moment going into this final with Johnson up top. But if he goes 4-3-3 and doesn't win, it's on him, mate. for me, it's all on him. I don't want to hear any excuses from him. In fact, I won't accept any excuses from anyone. I
Yeah,
won't.
like, but it would also be on him if you went free at the back, right? It's basically always on him if we don't win, right?
Yeah, but Michael, do you know what? If he goes to a 3-5-2 with the players that or as close as possible to that, and we lose, I will say, do you know what? I think he went with the right strategy. I think he went with the right strategy. The players just on the day didn't step up. Whereas if we go 4-3-3 and lose, I'm going to say, mate, Amrim knew you were going to do that. He knew what you were going to do, and he set up Man United to counter it because we've seen Amrim. Listen, this fucking Amrim guy, against all the odds, he got a result against Man City. Against all the odds, he went up to old Anfield and should have beaten Liverpool with a depleted Man United team by going to a back five that went to a back three on the attack. And then 10 men, he went to the Emirates and knocked Arsenal at the FA Cup. This manager in big games, he's turned up. So for me, he'll be ready for us. I know he'll be ready. And I think we've got to switch it up on him.
I think
Otherwise,
people are taking it that we've already beaten three. We've already beaten 3 times, so we're going to beat him the 4th time, basically. I think his people are looking at Man U. And again, right off Man U at your peril. No matter how shit they've been, we all know it's in their DNA to win. It's not in Tottenham's DNA to win. They've got winners in their team as well. And when it comes to that, it's going to come down to a tactical thing. Is Ange going to play Man U like he's playing in Europe? Or is Ange going to play Man U like he's playing in the Premier League? I think that's the question. Because
is it wide open legs or legs shut?
You know what I mean? And for me, there's only 2. I might be totally wrong here, but again, in opinion, for me, this game only goes 2 ways. It's either going to be one of the most dog shit games you're ever going to watch on the same level of West Ham and Spurs the other day, or you're going to see a game out there that's a 4-3. And I'm not saying the skills are going to be great or nothing, but you are going to have a game that can get you on the edge of your seat because it's so near yet so far, or because you've done it in the last minute or whatever. I think it's going to turn out to be one of them ones. I don't see an in-betweener here. It's either just going to be that shit, like who can be proved they are shitter on the day, or it's going to be proof who is better on the day.
Yeah,
I mean, like with West Ham,
we talked about it, Dan, right? It's there is nothing in between with this game, right?
I see nothing in between. I agree. It's either going to be complete dog shit, or it's going to be a game that has had you on the end of your seat for the wrong reasons, but you still win it or lose it 4-3.
Yeah. Also, I want to comment on one thing that you said, right? And I really want to convince people to not take much from those 3 games that we won, because there is a lot of context with those, right? So the first game that we won against them was a 3-0 at Old Trafford, where Erik ten Hag was a manager, right? This game is irrelevant to this final, right? Seriously, like different players, different setup, different manager, different tactics, different formation. Nothing about that United is the same as this United, right? Now, the game where we won in the Carabao Cup for free, right? It was like Amorim was in the job for like 3 weeks or something, right? So you can make a case that these players didn't really know the system and all that stuff, right? They were fresh in that system, and the system is really difficult, right? Plenty of comments have been made about how difficult the system is, right? Because it's unorthodox, right? You play with your wing backs pretty much as wingers. You play with 2 number 10s. You play with a double pivot in the midfield. It's completely different to what they used to play, right? So for me, the biggest game that the most important game that you should look when comparing this final to a previous game that we played against them was the 1-0 at our ground, right? Where we beat them, but if you actually like rewatch that game and watch the highlights again, I think Man United were the better team at the day, and they should have scored at least 1 goal, and they just missed chances, right? And yes, we capitalized on and by the way, we capitalized on an Onana mistake. I think we took a shot from a free kick, and he just spilled it in front of him, and Maddison went and scored the goal, right? So the things that I would take from that game is that Onana is a fucking donkey, right? And you should pepper him with shots, because this guy doesn't know how to make saves, right? Like even the game against, I think when they played against, could they play Bilbao in the semi-final, right? Like, watch the shot that the guy scored, and watch how Onana got to, to try and save it. Right? He didn't step to the side to make his reach bigger. He dove with both hands, which is a sin for keepers, right? When you make a stretch as a goalkeeper, you do it with one hand because your reach is bigger, right? And also, like, he has cheese hands, right? It just went through his palms, right? I actually think this guy is a shot stopper, but I fear that we won't try to test him, because we never do, right? How many times do we take shots from distance? Hardly any, right? So I seriously, like, when people say we won 3 times against them, 2 of those wins have massive context on them, right? So I would only look at the third one if you really want to make like any judgments on how this game will go in a week.
Michael, I agree with you, bro. I agree with it.
I agree with you though, Mikel, because I didn't like what our performance against Man United as well. But there are still problems at Man United, unfortunately for them, and I think we can still get at them because their goalkeeper's shaky, right?
Yeah.
They make mistakes passing the ball around, like you saw against West Ham today, right? And I don't think their strike force was anything to run home about either.
Hammering some long shots at him, isn't it? We've seen now. For me,
Yeah, as I said,
he's a
just
very
peppered
good
him, right?
goalkeeper. It's just he was excellent at Inter Milan. He was brilliant goalkeeper, and then he's come over here and he's gone down to shit without fail. He's a very, very good goalkeeper. Shot stopping, catching, delivering the ball. In Italy, he'd done the whole lot. He was good, but as soon as he came over here, he just fell to shit. And I think he might just be another one of those players that leads on a bit of confidence, which we have too many players of. And I think he is definitely one of their weakest points. That if we could say we do just play our normal formation, we go a 4-2-3-1, yeah, and you stick Solanke behind, you stick Kulusevski behind Solanke, and use him as a shadow striker sort of thing. Get some shots in from outside the box. Get some shots in from Son out of the box from the corners, which Son can still do. He's still a world-class finisher. Apart from that, he's nothing for me. But that's not necessarily changing the tactics for me. That's changing a bit of the style. In certain games, you need to adapt to certain points of the game. You can't go and play the same way against that team if that team plays a total different way that counters your team as such. You've got to work about with what you've got. And I think one of the things we would definitely have to do is get some very long balls in there from Porro. Wouldn't have him come up past the halfway line and just keep putting those long diagonal balls in there. And just take some lucky shots at the keeper, basically. Take some chances. We take more chances in passing in front of our own fucking goal than we do up the other end of the pitch.
I just think if we push up high with our wing backs, we can get into them, and we do have it in us to score goals, as long as we protect that defensive line and we don't leave 2 on the halfway line. If we do all that bollocks, it'll be like today. We're going to get sliced open left, right, and centre. Inverted players leaving gaps. I don't. If we go 4-3-3, then be deeper, like we've done against Frankfurt away and Bodo away. Do that then. I'd rather we do that. Go a little bit Conte, Mourinho, and try and score a counter as opposed to not trying to attack them, because Man United can be got at, man. You saw it. West Ham are shit. They're shit. They beat them 2-0 at Old Trafford today. We can get at Man United, but I don't want us to be risky. As long as we don't take these silly risks that we do, that's when it all goes wrong for me. I think we all agree on that. It was when we highlight.
By the way, one important thing that happened today: Yoro went off injured today. Like,
is it a bad one or is it we don't know kind of thing?
We don't know, but he needed
He's
help.
a good player for them.
Yeah, he needed help, right, to get off the pitch. Not like they stretched him off, but the medical staff came in and they basically just walked him off the pitch. So no, Of course, like I'm not saying I'm happy that he got injured or anything, right? But for us, it actually makes a difference, right?
Listen, the more injuries they get, the better. Of course, we 100%. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I said we're going to go for an hour and a half tonight. We've gone for 3.5 hours. I give up. I literally give up. No matter what I try and do, it's pointless. We always go over. I think you're muted, Dan. I think you're muted.
Yeah, you should never say that. That's my biggest mistake when I say I'm going to do a short show, and every time I do that, it ends up 4.5, 5.5, or 6 hours long. Every time I say that without fail, you don't say it. It's just a thing not to say.
I didn't think the protest track was going to go on for 1 hour and 15 minutes. We didn't even get onto the football game and that was after Michael came. My God.
No, but that's where you had people there with different solid opinions. And
Echo
people
chamber,
would debate their opinions. Exactly.
Echo chamber. Listen, big up to Terry O'Shea, to Rich, to Artist T, A User, Crusade81, to Sava. Crusade81 with loads more chats as well. By the way, I missed these ones. Sorry, because away fans make a lot of noise at our ground. Could be affecting home form.
No.
Nah.
No.
I get what you're saying, but it wasn't linked to what we were talking about tonight. But yes, thank you, man. Appreciate your super chats. We're live tomorrow at 2:00 on Big Up. We're doing a post-match analysis show. Then 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night, we will be back, hopefully with the full crew. And we will be discussing the Europa Cup final. North London forever. In your face, Arsenal, in your face.
North London forever.
Whatever the weather. Big up, big up. Dan, when are you next on? You got anything planned this week? Or you just make up as you go along?
Same shit, same time. I just make it up as I go along, but I will be on a couple of times this week.
Check out Dan this week. Box office, you got any spoiler alerts coming out?
Maybe a video. Just watch out and just keep your notifications on and subscribe as well. That'd be great because that's supporting the channel as well. You know what I mean? Because you know, you abuse me and everything else and say that I'm you know, big shot. Big shot. Someone call me a big shot. But you know, sometimes you want to listen to the main event because he actually gives you a good story. You know what I mean? Unlike some people. But anyway, moving on. But yeah, keep subscribing. If you don't know, get to know. You should have got to know already the main event, and subscribe to this channel, Tottenham Away, as well. And support Dan, support Football Heritage, support Spurs Kings TV as well, and support some of the YouTube Spurs YouTube phenomenon. And that's it. Take care, guys, and have a good week and enjoy the sunshine as well.
I mean,
Alex,
I'm on.
You forgot to tell everyone to subscribe to Sean Butler's channel.
So I didn't hear.
I've managed to get myself up to 4,366 now. So what I'm aiming for, I want to get to that 4,500, and then I'm obviously going to get a little gift for it for someone to win, and I want to get to that 5,000 before the end of the year.
There you go, Hotspur Hood. Make sure you subscribe. Get to him. 5,000 subscribers is what he's trying to do. Make sure you follow Sava's channel as well. Big up Sava for the raid earlier on. Make sure you go follow, subscribe, Mr. Box Office, and of course Brian Daigle, Tottenham on tour. He was on earlier on. Make sure you subscribe to him as well. We've got a super chat right at the end that came from artists. Let me quickly read it out. VDV and Romero need to have the games of their lives. It'll be interesting to see if De Ligt is fit for them. Let's just hope there's no Maguire winner. Could you imagine the scenes? If there is, it will be horrible. Yeah, guys, we'll be back. Our next watch along and post-match show will be on Friday, Aston Villa. We've got Aston Villa away. That's going to be a massacre. By the way, did you hear? Apparently in the press conference, Ange said he's going to play a strong team against Villa. Do you believe him? I think he's talking absolutely out of his arse.
I don't care what he says, mate. He cheats shit 24/7.
Give a shit.
You know what? Even he just chats shit from day one, basically. It didn't take long for people to suss him out. And I honestly, I honestly don't care what the man says. Whether he says we played good today, didn't play good today, he don't take no shit for nothing. He's abusive towards the press because he's not getting the questions. I just don't listen to him. It does my head in.
I can't
Seriously.
believe anybody. I can't believe that anybody's listening to him to this point. To be honest with you, because I don't even listen to his press conferences.
I mean, Alex,
Like,
it's like listening to him is like you might as well put a hole in the fucking side of your head. That is how bad I feel it is listening to him and why I don't do it.
And
by the way, like, just because we don't like what's going on at the moment, we still, this is a great moment for Tottenham, though. Yeah, when and I have to make that absolutely clear because, like, what I mean, just because Ange Postecoglou, I can take him out of the equation at the moment. I don't care right now about him. It's about my club. Yeah, right. We're in the Europa League final. Right, we could make history. Right, so I know this is massive, and I ain't gonna let Ange Postecoglou spoil it for me. Sorry, you can F off. I don't care. Right, and that's all I've got to say. If you want to wrap up the show, still on that,
I'm going to wrap it up. By the way, Daniela Stewart, you say West Ham have also had a very poor season, but we're not shit still. Not any more shit than you. Daniela, I think Spurs are shit. I think we're crap. So I agree. I'm just saying West Ham are also fucking shit. West Ham, Man United, Spurs, and the 3 relegated teams are all crap. From 15th down to 20th, I think are dog shit, in my opinion. I put Spurs in that bracket. Don't you worry about it. Alrighty, guys, listen, we're out of it. Thanks as always. Smash like, subscribe, hit notification bell, all that good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. Come on, you Spurs. Let's see what happens next.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away.